The following podcast will contain spoilers and explicit language. You've been warned.
There is nothing wrong. We are controlling transmission. For the next hour, sit quietly and we will control all that you see and hear.
Broadcasting live deep within the wilderness of Vermont at 100,000 watts comes Radio Rialto, the movie podcast you never asked for and always needed. I'm your host, Steve, and this week my co-host is...
Connor.
And today we'll be discussing Halloween from 1978, directed by John Carpenter and starring Donald Pleasance and Jamie Lee Curtis. So, Connor.
Mm-hmm.
Beloved co-host.
Beloved co-host, Connor.
Roommate.
Extraordinaire.
Roommate. Companion. Life partner.
Life partner. At least for the year.
Do you have any personal history with Halloween?
No. None whatsoever.
None whatsoever?
None whatsoever. I've always heard about the movie,
Mm-hmm.
and I've always wanted to watch it, just never have.
What are your feelings on the spooky things, the horror goof-em-ups?
I've become more good with the horror goof-em-ups as of late, but no, I've never been much of a horror guy. I've always been like a Scream, kind of horror guy.
Were you a scaredy cat as a kid?
Oh, I'm a scaredy cat now.
This is true. Yeah, I was a giant scaredy cat as a kid. I was traumatized by, the scary movies.
Oh, wow.
Wayans Brothers Scary. I remember my brother watched the trailer for Scary Movie 4, and I cried when I was 8. I cried. Because they had the kid who was supposed to be, the grunge kid.
Yeah.
And even, the parody of the grunge kid freaked me the fuck out.
Dude.
And I cried. But I remember it was he showed me the Scary Movie 4 trailer, and then immediately afterwards the Paranormal Activity trailer.
Oh, so you had a jump.
And it was even more terrifying. Why would you do this to me? Yeah, I was a giant scaredy cat as a kid, which led me in my middle school and high school years getting very morbidly curious by horror movies and monsters and stuff. So I probably saw this movie when I was 14 or 15. I was probably a freshman or sophomore in high school, and I was getting really into writing movie reviews on my blog. Which
You had a blog?
I had a blog that was
Dude.
awful, and it doesn't exist anymore. I found some of my old reviews though, and they're not terrible.
I used to write video game reviews on this one website called GameMasters.com. I probably was 12.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, no, they're terrible.
Yeah.
They're just garbage. I reviewed the first Infamous and the Cars 2 video game.
The Cars 2 video game.
Yeah, the one on PS3. I think it got 3.5 stars from me too. I did not hate the Cars 2 game. Infamous then got a 5 because I was I really fucking loved Infamous.
I always wanted to play the Infamouses.
They're
but
good.
I was always an Xbox kid. I never had a PS4.
This isn't about Infamous, but I would skip Second Son.
So anyway, back to Halloween. So I saw this at 14 and 15, and I fucking loved it. I thought it was a masterpiece. And what's really interesting is, usually when you like a movie, you get into, the rest of the sequels.
Yeah.
I've never seen any of the sequels all the way through. I've seen most of Halloween 2, and I've seen chunks of the others. And the only other one before this new one that I'd seen all the way through was the first Rob Zombie remake. So those are the only 2 Halloween movies I've seen all the way through. But what this movie got me to do is it got me on a Carpenter bug, and it got me on a Carpenter bug bad. I've seen, I would say, probably most of John Carpenter's movies at this point. There's some big ones I'm missing. I'm missing Assault on Precinct 13, which is the one that comes before this. But we'll talk about that when we get into Carpenter a little bit. But yeah, I just, this was probably my second Carpenter movie. I probably saw Escape from New York before this. And then after this, I'm just I gotta watch more John Carpenter. And I went through all the big ones. I had only probably seen this all the way through one more time before 2 days ago. So I was excited to revisit it. So at this point, we should probably just go through the directors and the screenwriters and all that. And so let's talk about the man, the myth, the legend himself, John Carpenter. This is at a really interesting point in his career. This is his third film. Let me pull up his... Yeah, this is his third film. His first film was called Dark Star. It started as a student film. So, fun fact about John Carpenter, he's one of the USC brats. But he's right after George Lucas and John Milius and all them. So he's a year or two later. But he's part of that wave of all these crazy filmmakers that came out of USC. I think he was in around the same time as Robert Zemeckis. So Dark Star was like a 40-minute short that he wrote with Dan O'Bannon of Alien fame, the screenwriter of Alien. And if you watch Dark Star, it's like Alien with a tenth of the budget. It's basically the plot of Alien, but the alien's like a beach ball with feet. I'm not even joking. Like the alien is a beach ball with feet. It's a weird like stoner space movie, but it's kind of cool. And then after that, a couple years later, he was able to get funding for Assault on Precinct 13, which that was a big exploitation hit. And do you know what that movie's a loose remake of?
No, not at all.
It's one of your dad's favorites.
My dad's favorites?
Yeah.
The Wizard of Oz?
No, Assault on Precinct 13 is a loose remake of Rio Bravo.
Oh, okay.
And this comes up a lot in Carpenter's career.
I knew it wasn't Wizard of Oz. It's one
No.
of my dad's favorite movies.
No, this comes up a lot in Carpenter's career. He either references things from his childhood a lot, or things are like direct remakes of movies he liked as a kid.
Okay.
Because The Thing is a direct remake of The Thing from
Outer Space. Yeah.
Another World.
Another World. Oops.
Which actually shows up in Halloween. We'll
Yeah,
talk about that in a little bit. But that was another movie from his childhood that like he like loved and wanted to remake. So the Assault on Precinct 13 is a loose remake of Rio Bravo. That does really well in like drive-ins and grindhouses and stuff. And he's able to get funding for this small horror movie, which at the time was called The Babysitter Murders.
That's actually a really lit title.
Is it? It's here's the thing.
I like it.
I like it because it's cheesy.
Yeah.
Halloween's a better title. It's a classier title.
It's a classier title.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I saw a movie called The Babysitter Murders. I would think they're a really campy, like, serial killer-esque movie, which is kind of what the first Halloween is.
It's kind of what the first Halloween is, but there's something about it that puts it above that. And there's a couple like, we're going to talk about that, but it really is, like, when you think of your screams, you think of all the stereotypes that people make fun of for horror movies.
Yeah.
Halloween establishes a lot of them.
Yeah, it does.
But it does them slightly classier than its imitators.
I can agree with that, yeah.
Like, the Friday the 13th, like, took the foundation that Halloween set up and, like, went in, like, a super hyper, like, crazy direction with it. And it doesn't help, like, when you have sequel upon sequel upon sequel. You're going to want to go bigger and bigger and bigger with the kills. And then after this, Carpenter really does kind of get himself in a horror sort of thing. He does 2 TV movies. One's called Somebody's Watching Me, which is one of the, like, 2 or 3 movies where the calls coming from inside the house comes from.
Oh,
It's like that, the original Black Christmas. I think there's a movie called The Call that's coming from inside the house, but it's one of those movies. And then he does a TV movie biopic of Elvis that stars Kurt Russell.
He did that?
He did that.
Whoa.
You know what's crazy about that movie?
What?
Anyone who knows me knows I'm a huge John Carpenter fan, and I'm a huge Elvis fan. I've never seen the John Carpenter
Aren't you a
Elvis
huge
movie.
Kurt Russell fan, too?
I'm a pretty big Kurt Russell fan, too. It's one of those movies that I've been kind of afraid to watch because, like, what if it's bad?
It very well could be.
I've heard pretty good things, though. I've just kept pushing it off. And then after this, he does The Fog, which I fucking love that movie. That movie's going to be on this podcast eventually, because that movie rocks, which also has Jamie Lee Curtis in it.
I have it on Blu-ray.
Oh, that's right. You do have it on Blu-ray. We should watch The Fog.
Watch The Fog.
I love The Fog. And then immediately after The Fog is Escape from New York, which that movie's fine. I know a lot of people really love that. I'm not crazy about Escape from New York, but I have to rewatch it. And then immediately after that is The Thing. So, like, he goes all in on his horror reputation. And The Thing bombs. It was a really expensive production. Yeah, it didn't... Well, do you want to know why The Thing bombed?
Yeah, why it bombed?
It opened the same weekend as Blade Runner.
Oh.
Which also bombed. Do you want to know why they both bombed?
Why?
They opened this week after E.T., which is the highest grossing film of all time at that point. E.T. was a monster hit, and E.T. is like this nice, cute, cuddly alien. And then you have the alien in The Thing, which kills people. It turns into, like, spider monsters. It kills dogs. So The Thing is not what people were looking for with an alien movie at that point. And then immediately after that, he does Christine, which is because Stephen King was huge. Christine went into production before the book was published. It's one of those situations that the studio bought the manuscript.
Like Kick-Ass.
Yes, Kick-Ass was like that. This happens every now and again. Like, when a book, right before it's published, is getting a lot of hype, studios will buy just it before it's published, just buy the manuscript. And then they'll make a movie, like, soon after the book comes out. And Christine's one of those situations. I think By the time Christine came out in theaters, the paperback version had just come out.
Oh, okay.
So it was like perfect timing. And Christine was a minor hit.
Christine's the one with the car, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Christine fucking rocks. I love Christine. It's probably in my top 5 Carpenters. And then he makes Starman, which that movie's amazing. It's not a horror movie by any stance. It's very much a science fiction romance drama. It's a lot about like grief and like learning to adapt by yourself. And I don't know. Starman's a great movie. It has a really great Jeff Bridges performance, which he was nominated for. And then immediately after that, like he's slowly like gaining cred again, and like studios are giving him a little more money and a little more money. And then they take a risk on him with Big Trouble in Little China. It's his biggest production at that point. I think it's like anywhere between like $11 to $16 million, which was expensive at the time. And that thing tanked so hard. And then pretty much at that point, like he's in Hollywood jail. Like it's a lot of really low budget stuff. Prince of Darkness was really low budget. They Live was low budget. Memoirs of an Invisible Man, kind of high budget. It had Chevy Chase, who's kind of on a downturn, but still a big star. It had a pretty heavy special effects budget.
Is
but
Chevy Chase like a dramatic lead in that?
It's kind of a comedy. It's a weird movie. It's not very good. It's considered to be one of Carpenter's worst movies. But that doesn't do well. Body Bags is a TV movie, which I think he only directed 2 of the 3 segments. I think Tobe Hooper does a segment in that as well. In the Mouth of Madness and The Village of the Damned do well. And then the next, like his last real big thing is Escape from L.A. And that's because Escape from New York was like a minor hit, but like over the years it had really grown in sales in terms of home video. So Escape from New York had gained this cult following. They felt like if we made a sequel, it'd probably be profitable. And that's a pretty expensive production. I think that's, I don't know exactly what the budget that was, but that's a pretty large-scale production, and that doesn't do well at all. And then between 1996 and 2010, he only has 3 movies. He has Vampires and Ghosts of Mars, both of which don't do well. And then he does a couple episodes of Masters of Horror, and then he does the movie The Ward. Do you remember The Ward when it came out?
I remember hearing about it.
It's like a haunted house, haunted hospital movie.
Is that with Naomi Watts? Or am I crazy?
I could very easily find that out. No, it has
Amber Heard.
It has Amber Heard in it, Danielle Panabaker.
Oh, so not to talk shit about the careers of Amber Heard and Danielle Panabaker, but like, not the best films.
Huge movie stars, and that's his last movie. And from everything I heard, that's like kind of, they hired John Carpenter, he sat in a chair, said action and cut, and that's about it.
Yikes.
It was very much like a paycheck gig for him. And since then, he's basically been making music with his son and his buddy, and they've done music videos for them. But
yeah, and he scored the new Halloween. Right?
He scored the new Halloween. He's like, there was a recent interview with him about a month ago. I think it was an AV Club interview or something. And they asked John Carpenter if he had any interest in making another movie. And he's like, yeah, but I have other things that take priority in my life, like making music and playing video games. So
that's great.
John Carpenter's just kind of living his best life right now.
Yeah, for sure.
Living on conventions and touring. And he tours with like his son and the other guy they make music with. I want to see him so badly.
That'd be great. And he does like all the original scores from like Halloween and stuff, I'm guessing.
Yeah, he'll do all his original themes, and then he writes new stuff too, which
awesome. That's
sounds
cool.
like his old stuff. It's still old MIDI compressors and.
I mean, not to go on the career of John Carpenter, but I think he like in his music he feeds on like nostalgia a little bit. People are coming to hear like the original Halloween score and things like that.
Yeah, but like he's recorded 2 albums of original music. I mean, it still sounds like all that. Like he very much knows his style.
Yeah, it still sounds like John Carpenter.
It sounds like John Carpenter music. They're pretty cool albums. They're called Lost Themes too.
Okay.
Like the idea of them is like these are themes to movies I never made and shit like that. Yeah. But it's cool stuff if you like his scores, which I do. They're really cool albums. But yeah, I really do like John Carpenter. I mean, even his misses I think are interesting. And obviously like the amount of work that he did in the span of like 7 or 8 years and the quality within that golden era, I fucking love John Carpenter. He might be my favorite director of all time. It's like Spielberg and him, and I know they're completely different. But
yeah. I mean, they're both in the same like general time period, the 1980s, like that whole thing.
Yeah. But they're both very different in that. And then I also want to talk a little bit. His producing partner and writing partner at the time was a woman named Deborah Hill. They were dating. I believe they were briefly married. And then on the set of The Fog, John Carpenter started having an affair with the star Adrienne Barbeau. He later marries Adrienne Barbeau, and that kind of hindered their relationship, but she continued to be his producing partner Well, not really. After Halloween 3, they kind of split up. And then they re-teamed, I believe, for Escape from LA. She's a credited producer on Escape from LA. But that really hindered their relationship. And Deborah Hill, unfortunately, died 13 years ago. I believe she had cancer. But she's the reason why Haddonfield, Illinois is called Haddonfield, Illinois. Because Haddonfield, New Jersey, is the town she grew up in.
Oh, okay.
So she's a Jersey girl, which makes me love her very much. But Deborah Hill was very influential for those first few John Carpenter movies. Assault on Precinct 13, Halloween, The Fog, all of those would not look the same without her. And it's really unfortunate that their partnership ended so poorly, especially because they had a personal relationship and all this happened. Because the work they did together, I think, some of the strongest work he ever had. And then she continued to be a very successful producer throughout the 1980s. She produced like Big Top Pee-wee, and The Adventures of Babysitting was a big hit from her. So she had a pretty successful career even without him, but it's unfortunate that that partnership had to end so poorly. Because a lot of people credit was like, the reason The Fog and Halloween and all those are so successful, a lot of it goes to Deborah Hill.
Doesn't his career kind of fall off a little bit after she leaves too?
Kind of. I mean, I like Christine and Starman.
Yeah.
And those are critically well received, but they do okay. Like, his most influential stuff is all the stuff he made with her.
Yeah.
Halloween, Escape from New York, The Fog. Like, those are the tentpoles, really. Oh, They Live, too, in The Thing. But he owes a lot of his success to her, I think. And then we really do need to talk about the cinematographer, Dean Cundey. Do you know Dean Cundey at all?
I've heard the name.
Dean Cundey was nominated for an Oscar for Who Framed Roger Rabbit, but it doesn't end there. Do you want me to go through the shit that Dean Cundey has done? Because, oh my god, Dean Cundey. Okay, so we start with a lot of like exploitation and blaxploitation movies. And then Halloween's his real big break. Rock and Roll High School, which we'll also talk a little bit later. The Fog, continuing like this exploitation thing. Escape from New York, Halloween 2, and then it starts to really ramp up. The Thing, Halloween 3, Psycho 2, Romancing the Stone, Back to the Future, Big Trouble in Little China, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, Roadhouse, Back to the Future 2, Back to the Future 3, Hook, Jurassic Park, Casper, Apollo 13, The Parent Trap, What Women Want, and this is really where it starts to dip down. But he really had, for a bit there, like this boom, 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 huge hit after huge hit after huge hit. And I think what, like, that sort of nostalgic feel that people attribute to the 1980s and the 1990s, like when people think, like, I love the sort of Stranger Things look, that's Dean Cundey. And unfortunately, like, his career took a really big turn. The last thing of note that he did was Jack and Jill.
Oh.
Yeah, and then
you're using Of Note very loosely there.
Of Note very loosely, but I think one of the reasons he's hired for Jack and Jill is because he worked with that sort of split screen technology.
Oh yeah.
Because Adam Sandler has to be in two different parts of the same scene.
Yeah.
And that was done in Back to the Future Part 2.
Yeah.
He also did the Reese Witherspoon movie Home Again.
They got a 0.5 star from you on Letterboxd.
It's one of the worst movies I've ever seen.
Really?
It's awful. But that's not really his fault. Put it this way, in terms of Dean Cundey, it's well lit and it's exposed properly. Like,
yeah.
Everything's in frame, everything's in focus, but Dean Cundey, yeah, he had this real great sort of rise throughout the 80s and 90s, and then it just sort of dipped. But Dean Cundey's fucking awesome. So now we should probably kind of go through the cast, and we're going to start with my man, my main man.
Donald Pleasance.
Donald Pleasance.
This is the only thing I've seen him in.
Really?
Yeah.
The Great Escape?
Nope.
You Only Live Twice, his Bond movie?
No.
I believe he's the first Blofeld.
I literally have only seen him in this. I've only heard his name because of this movie.
Really?
Yeah.
Donald Pleasance is very much a character actor. This is, besides Blofeld, this is probably his biggest role.
Well, I've always wondered why on Halloween it says Donald Pleasance in Halloween, because like, I don't know who the fuck Donald Pleasance is.
Well, compared to everyone else, he's the only one who had done work.
Yeah.
Nancy Loomis, who we'll talk about a little bit later, was in Assault on Precinct 13. So she had worked with Carpenter before. PJ Souls had done some exploitation movies. We'll talk about her in Rock and Roll High School again. And then this was Jamie Lee Curtis's first movie. She had done 3 episodes of TV the year before, but this was her first movie. It says, and introducing Jamie Lee Curtis. And obviously her parents were both very successful actors, so that kind of gave her an edge, but she wasn't a known entity at all. Like, really, who else are they going to give top billing to?
Yeah, exactly.
Donald Pleasance was a recognizable character actor. He had been in some big movies before, and he was kind of a get. He was, from what I've heard, he was
a
like,
get for a $300,000 budget.
For a $300,000 budget exploitation movie, he's kind of a get. And I think he was only on set for like 4 days. Like, he's not in a lot of scenes, but the scenes that he's in are long.
Yeah.
Like, he's in the second scene, which he's so good in. The scene in the car, he's so good.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Like, Donald Pleasance has, like, a gravitas to him that even when he's kind of given sort of cheesy, like, goofy material, like, he brings a weight and, like, a sort of Shakespearean drawl to them. And I love that even the sheriff is just like, this is all fancy talk. Like, where's the proof? Like, it was like, he's evil. He's the evil incarnate. It was like, the great line is that I spent 7 years trying to reach him and another 8 years trying to lock him up. And shit like that. It's like, yeah, that's all fancy talk. Like, he's not in town, though. I love the dynamic between him and Chief Brackett. I think it's really solid. But yeah, Donald Pleasance is great in this. He's in the most Halloween films. He's in this and 2. Obviously, 3 is a different thing. But 4, 5, and 6, he's all in. And he continued to be in them until he died. Halloween 6 is like the 3rd last movie he was in, I think. Like, so this really kind of took him through the winter of his life. But I think Donald Pleasance rocks in this movie. What do you think of?
I think he rocks too.
Yeah, he's so good.
For not knowing anything about him, he does a great job. He very much screams to me like the kind of like, not creepy, but he has that vibe.
Yeah.
Where you can buy that he's kind of like a weird doctor.
Yeah.
So he kind of makes the movie more campy just from him being in it, if that makes sense.
Donald Pleasance, the main reason he said he wanted to do this, because a lot of his career, he was playing like evil villains, mad scientists, things like that. And he's like, I finally got to be a good guy. Like, with the way he described it, he's like, I'm Van Helsing to Michael Myers' Dracula.
Yeah.
And that's a very good way to put it. What I also like about Donald Pleasance is that Donald Pleasance is a British man, but like there's a couple of times like, is he trying to do an American accent? Like when he says yeah, and I'm like, I realize that's probably in the script, but it's weird to hear you say yeah.
Yeah.
It's like this weird, like, sort of half-British accent. Mm-hmm. It's probably one of those things that, like, he was born in Britain but has lived in America for, like, 25 years, so it's just slowly fading away. But yeah, Donald Pleasance and Dr. Loomis in general fucking rocks in this movie. And then, of course, the next person we have to talk about is Jamie Lee Curtis.
She's fine. I'm just kidding. No, Jamie Lee Curtis is great in this movie.
She's really good. You know what's interesting about Jamie Lee Curtis? And this might sound out of hand, but, like, Jamie Lee Curtis kind of usually plays a bitch. Am I wrong?
You're not entirely wrong, no. Not at all.
I feel like every movie I watch her in, she always has, like, her guard up.
She's always a good-intentioned bitch, though.
No, I don't say, like, she plays bad people, but she always seems like someone who wants to, like, dominate the room.
Yeah.
And, like...
Or someone who's been through a lot, to the point where they kind of need to dominate the room at that point.
But she sort of was like, I take no bullshit, I take no prisoners, like, this is who I am.
When she plays the mom in Freaky Friday, Lindsay Lohan is a nightmare in that movie.
Yeah.
Of course you'd be, like, kind of a bitch to her.
Yeah, but even things like not Halloween, The Fog, and, like, I'm trying to think what else I have seen Jamie Lee... Did you ever see the movie You Again? Where it's, like, her and Sigourney Weaver.
I've seen the trailers for
Betty
it.
White,
Kristen Bell.
And
I forget who plays Kristen Bell's enemy in that.
I saw that movie in the theater. I was, like, 11, I think.
Isn't that a Gary Cooper movie? Or the guy who did, like, Pretty Woman and Valentine's Day.
Gary Marshall?
Gary Marshall.
I don't think that it's...
Gary Cooper's someone else completely.
Gary Cooper is from, like, the 20s. He was in, like, Wings and Yankee Doodle Dandy.
No. I'm thinking Gary Marshall.
I don't think that it's a Gary Marshall movie, but it's trying to be a Gary Marshall movie.
Okay.
Is that fair? I liked it when I was 11. It's probably trash. But yeah, she's always playing someone who's, like, wants to take charge and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's weird seeing her play, like, a sweet teenage girl.
You haven't seen Scream Queens, but she's great in that show.
I heard she's great in that show.
She's amazing in that show.
Yeah. But that's the thing. The reason she's on Scream Queens is, like, after Halloween, she's, like, horror movie after horror movie after horror movie after horror movie. Mm-hmm. And I think that's part of the reason she built up this facade. She's like, I'm tired of being chased around by dudes with knives.
Yeah.
Like, she wants to be taken seriously as an actress. And I think that sort of, like, changed the way she approached roles. Like, I don't think she wanted to be considered, like, a victim anymore.
Yeah.
But this is when she's, like, young and fresh, and it's weird seeing a different aspect of her. And also, she's, like, always been so womanly. Mm-hmm. Like, we were talking about this in the podcast. She is the youngest person in the cast. I think she was only, like, 19 when she made this. And she's probably playing, like, 16, 17. But she has the voice of a 45-year-old. Like, there's something weird and raspy about her voice, and it's just, like, she doesn't look 17.
No.
But yeah, it's interesting to see her like play a sweet babysitter, and then obviously at the end, like that's a very traumatizing experience for her, and it like changes the way she acts. And I think one of the reasons she got this reputation as a scream queen is that she was one of the earliest ones. Like she, with Halloween, sort of led the trend through this slasher era, and like she was really the first final girl. Because even her mother, Janet Leigh, who's a big reason why she got cast in this, because Janet Leigh was in Psycho, she gets killed like 30 minutes within the movie. She's the first victim.
Mm-hmm.
But she's really the one who like takes it to the end and actually, with Dr. Loomis, beats Michael Myers.
Yeah.
Or so we think. She's really good at being a scream queen. Like when she's running across the street and she's slamming at the door, she's like, Tommy, open up. Like, It's really like coming deep within her, and it's like a blood curdling, like, come on, come on. She has this survival instinct that really helped her with what her character needed to do in this movie, and it's a really impressive achievement, I think. So yeah, Jamie Lee Curtis, she easily became the biggest star after this, and I think it's very well deserved. We'll briefly talk on some of the other victims. Nancy Keys is her current name, but at the time I believe she was Nancy Loomis. She plays Annie. Any thoughts on Annie?
Annie's the laundry girl, right?
Yeah, Annie's the laundry girl.
Annie needs to realize like a little bit of butter on you to tell you to take off every article of clothing you have on currently.
That's the TNA element they needed to sell.
It is, yeah.
And that's not really her performance. What did you think of her performance?
She's great. Everyone is great in this movie.
Yeah, everyone knows who they need to play, and they do.
They
it
play
to
them
it too.
well. Exactly. Yeah.
Annie's very much the bitch of the piece, and she plays that well.
I guess so. I guess she's kind of the bitch of the piece.
She's
her other
snotty.
friend's kind of shitty too, though.
Linda's not great, and we'll talk about PJ Souls. I love PJ Souls, but yeah. Is it Nancy Keys? Yeah, Nancy Keys is really good in this. She was sort of a John Carpenter staple for a while. She was in Assault on Precinct 13. She's in this. She briefly shows up in Halloween 2, believe it or not. I think that's a flashback or a dream sequence.
It would have to be.
I think it's a dream sequence. She's in The Fog. She has a pretty decent sized role in The Fog, and she's good in that. She's in Halloween 3 playing a different character. And then after that, her career just sort of went in a different direction. I don't really know what happened to Nancy Loomis, but she's good in this. I like her in this. And then we can talk about PJ Souls, who's playing Linda. Linda's the name of the character?
I believe so, yeah.
She says totally a lot.
She does. Like, she does a great job in this movie.
Yeah. I love PJ Souls. PJ Souls is a great...
Would I know her from anything else?
Oh, God. Probably not. I'm a weird old man. Well, Carrie.
Oh, is she in Carrie?
She's Norma. She's one of, like, Chris's friends.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was her first big thing.
That makes sense.
And then this... Have you ever seen Breaking Away?
No.
Breaking Away is a really good movie. It won Best Screenplay at the Oscars. She was in Rock and Roll High School. That's, like, kind of her big thing, because she's the lead in that. That's a movie the Ramones are in. Like, that's a Roger Corman movie that's trying to cash in on punk rock.
Oh, okay.
She's in Private Benjamin. She's in Stripes. She was in a bunch. She's in an episode of Cheers and Airwolf. She did a lot.
What episode of Cheers is she in?
I don't fucking know. It just says her name's Julie in this. I would have to like.
I think I know. I didn't think it's the girl Sam slept with.
Probably. It's PJ Souls, and she's like one of the most beautiful women of that era.
Yeah.
She does a lot of TV. She's in the Patsy Cline movie Sweet Dreams. Like, she consistently worked throughout the 80s and 90s, and then she just kind of got stuck being in horror movies. She has a cameo in Halloween, though. Do you know the newest Halloween? Do you know who she is?
No, I don't.
The scene where Allison's in class and they're reading the same passage from
is she the teacher?
She's the teacher.
That makes sense.
So she has a voice role. Yeah, and she does conventions a lot. I really like PJ Souls. From everything I've heard, she's like one of the nicest people on the planet. And then there's really not much more to talk about. Bob's just there to be killed.
Yeah.
The kids aren't much. Oh, one thing I have to mention. Fans of The Real Housewives, Kyle Richards of, I believe, Real Housewives of Beverly Hills or something, she's the little girl Lindsay. That's something that boggled my mind when I found out that my parents watch a lot of really trash reality TV.
Yeah.
So by coincidence, I happen to catch good chunks of trash reality TV, and my parents are all in on the Housewives. They love the Housewives. And like, so when I was looking at photos of the premiere from the new one, I'm like, is that one of the Real Housewives? And I looked it up, and she's Lindsay. I didn't recognize her.
That's amazing.
She looks so different as like an 8-year-old girl. It's not even funny. What's the name of the of Chief Brackett. I meant to look that up, and I feel bad that I didn't. Chief Brackett was played by Charles Cyphers. Any thoughts on?
The thing is,
Sheriff
no one
Brackett?
is bad in this movie.
No, he knows what material he's given and he does it
Yeah,
well.
and we'll talk about the dad in the new one, but it's
Yeah.
like that. Like in his case, he's given good material to work with.
He's given better material to
But
work with.
I don't know. There's nothing really to say about them because no one did their job poorly.
Yeah, Charles Cyphers worked a lot with Carpenter. He's also in the movie Major League, which I watched for the first time this summer. I don't remember him being in it, but yeah. My main thing with Charles Cyphers, I think he has really good repartee with Loomis.
Yeah,
I think their scenes together are really entertaining.
that's fair to say completely.
And then the only two other people of note, we have Sandy Johnson, who played Judith Myers. Do you know what her other claim to fame besides being Judith Myers is?
What?
She was Playboy's Miss June, 1974.
See, I was gonna say porn, but I thought that'd be shitty.
I mean, Playboy isn't really porn, but basically, yeah, she's Miss June 1974. So, way to go, Sandy Johnson. You're okay in this movie where you have one line.
Michael, that's it.
Beautiful performance, Oscar worthy. And then the last person really to talk about is Nick Castle, who plays the Shape.
Okay, why do they call him the Shape and not Michael Myers?
The idea is that when he's wearing the mask, he's just the Shape. That's what makes him like less than human and pure evil.
Because I saw in the new one that someone was credited as the Shape too,
Yeah.
and I was like, I guess.
When he's wearing the mask, he's the Shape. When he's not wearing the mask, he's Michael Myers.
But isn't Nick Castle both?
No, he's not.
Well, in the current Halloween, sorry, the new one that just came out, isn't he both?
In the current Halloween, mask off, it's Nick Castle. Mask on, it's actually two different guys.
Oh, okay.
It's Nick Castle through most of the stuff where he's like walking and stuff.
Yeah, but when it's actually doing things,
When it's
another
like doing crazy shit, it's a stuntman.
guy. Okay.
And we'll talk about that. But a lot of it in the new one is Nick Castle as
No,
well.
Nick Castle's great.
Nick Castle's really good. He has incredible body language. There's actually 5 different people who play the Shape. Nick Castle is like 90% of it, though.
Okay.
One of them is actually Deborah Hill. There's one shot where Michael Myers is across the street. You can only even see him in silhouette. That's Deborah Hill. The production designer and the editor, they were Michael Myers. Oh, the one guy, Tommy Wallace is his name. He's the production designer and the editor. Anytime Michael is breaking stuff, that's him. Because he was really good at breaking stuff on the first take and doing it well.
Okay.
But for the most part, it is Nick Castle, and Nick Castle is considered the original Shape, and that's why he's back in the new one too. But he has incredible body language. Like his body shape's right for it. Like he's really menacing, just like standing still and walking.
Mm-hmm.
Like he has this really methodical step. Michael Myers isn't going to chase after you.
No.
He's just going to keep going until he can get you.
Exactly.
And we're going to talk about Michael Myers extensively when we get down into the plot. But yeah, Nick Castle is really, really good in this movie. And then, yeah, let's kind of discuss the movie overall. We kind of got through everyone specifically wanted to talk about. So is there anything that like you liked about the movie, disliked about the movie?
I as a whole, I liked the movie a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I think all the performances were great, like you mentioned earlier, especially Jamie Lee Curtis and even like Nick Castle.
Yeah.
He doesn't say a word in the entire movie. He still like kills it.
Oh, that's the one thing I actually want to go through. The other two people who play Michael Myers, it's Will Sandin at age 6, and at the end when Michael Myers takes off his mask, it's an actor named Tony Moran.
Okay.
So those are the other two quote unquote Michael Myers.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I think we discussed it pretty much as a whole.
Yeah.
I mean, it suffers for me because I'm not a huge fan of 1980s horror for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we'll talk about this later. I don't know if I told this. I do not like The Thing.
I don't love The Thing.
Yeah, I've never been a huge fan of The Thing.
Most people credit it as Carpenter's best. I think that's debatable.
Big Trouble in Little China has a myriad of problems.
Yeah.
But the 3 Carpenters I've seen, that might be my favorite.
It's the most fun.
Yeah.
It's probably my least favorite of the 3 that you've mentioned, but I like Big Trouble in Little China. It's not a bad movie by any sense.
No, I think as a horror movie in the 1980s, it works very well.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's like, I don't know, TNA is not important to me.
Mm-hmm.
So like, I was like, okay, there's boobs for boobs.
Yeah.
And it's fine. I know, it's a good time.
Yeah.
It's a movie I won't really think about. We'll talk about the new one. I feel myself think more about the new one than I will this one.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll talk more about the new one, but yeah.
Yeah.
What Halloween does well is that its simplicity is key.
Yeah.
It takes things that would be limitations and turns them into strengths. Like, it's a very simple movie. Like, there's only 5 kills. A couple of them are off screen.
Yeah.
But it like takes that and it doesn't go like crazy with gore and stuff. It just makes them brutal and blunt. Like Michael Myers, for the most part, just strangles people.
Yeah.
It's a very intimate way to kill someone, and it takes a while. And you know the movie could be very slow paced, but it's like right at 90 minutes. Like it keeps it going. Like it knows exactly what it wants to do and accomplishes it. And obviously, we're going to talk about John Carpenter's score.
Yeah.
Like that is so effective in terms of how the movie is done, because Michael Myers, like, the best shots are like when he just slowly comes out of the shadows and you don't even realize he's there. Like sometimes like you really can miss it. Like I remember when we were watching the new one, and we'll talk about it in the new one, there was a moment where Bree was sitting next to me and she jumped and like, what was it? It's like you could see Michael in the corner. I'm like, you could? Like I totally missed it. But that's some of the things. It rewards eagle-eye viewers to be constantly looking for him. It's kind of like a Where's Waldo.
No, that's a great thing Halloween does, is you'll just have another scene and you'll see just Michael drive by without them acknowledging that Michael's driving by.
Yeah.
Or things like that. Or in the new one, there's a scene where he's just standing in the corner and you don't notice it.
Yeah.
Or there's another scene where Michael's like just walking, like there are people talking to see Michael like, walk right behind them, like really tiny.
Yeah.
And it's just things like that I really appreciate. The suspense in this movie's done perfectly.
He's constantly around.
Yeah.
He's always watching you.
And when you don't see him, you'll think you are seeing him too.
Yeah.
Like they'll do scenes where it's literally just the background.
Yeah.
Michael won't be in it, but you'll be convinced he's there.
Yeah.
You know, they do suspense perfectly.
Yeah, and the movie, like you mentioned earlier, only has a $330,000 budget.
Yeah.
Which was slim even then.
Mm-hmm.
And they use it to the best of their ability. There's a couple things, like, it's very obviously California passing as Illinois.
Yeah.
If you're looking at that first scene with Tommy and Laurie, you can see in the background there's palm trees. The high school that Laurie and the other girls go to, all the lockers on the outside, which is very much a California thing, specifically a Southern California thing. The scene where Loomis at the side of the road, there's just mountains in the background.
Yeah.
And Connor, you're an Indiana boy. You can attest to...
Yeah, we don't have mountains.
You don't have mountains in the Midwest.
We have plains.
You have plains. It's just the flattest land in the world.
Exactly.
But yeah, that's one of the things I like. Like I mentioned earlier, like the body count is very slim. It's only 5 people. It's Judith, who you don't really... You see get stabbed, but you don't see anything being penetrated.
Yeah.
There's the truck driver, but that's off screen. We only see the aftermath of that. And then there's Annie, Bob, and Linda.
Yeah.
And 2 of those are stranglings, and the other one just gets stabbed.
Yeah.
But it takes what would be limitations and just turns it into strengths, and they just try to make it more and like seem more brutal than it actually is.
Yeah.
And one of those things is the score. There's a really funny story that John Carpenter finished cutting the movie. He showed it to the executives, and the executive said, "It's well shot, it's just not scary." So John Carpenter went back and he added the score. It took him only 3 days to compose the score and get everything processed and done. He came back 3 days later, showed it to the executive, didn't change a thing, just added the music, and he said, "It's the most terrifying thing I've seen in my entire life."
Really?
That score adds so much to the atmosphere of that film.
That kind of you know the American Werewolf in London story?
What about
about the blood in the transformation scene?
No.
Oh, okay. So slight differential.
Was there supposed to be blood in it, or?
Well, no, the blood / the transformation scene, 2 different things.
Okay.
But I'm blanking. No, John Landis. Someone said Max Landis. John Landis. He showed it to the execs. He showed the transformation scene in some scenes where it's blood, and he said, you can shoot this. This is terrifying.
Yeah.
Because you have to tone it down."
Mm-hmm.
So John Landis was just like, "No, it's perfect."
Mm-hmm.
So what he did is he waited 3 days, didn't cut a thing, and showed it to him again. Like, "Oh, thank you for the changes. Like, it helps so much."
Yeah.
Like things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's like, in his case, it was nothing.
Yeah.
But with Carpenter, just a little bit of a score, which the score is excellent. Not to like diminish it by saying a little bit of a score,
but it's kind of minimalist. Like you listen to that theme, it's like what, 6 notes and like some key changes.
No, that's all you need.
Yeah. But that's one of the things I like. Like simplicity is key. Like the best way I can put Michael Myers, like where he's constantly in the background and he's constantly like always watching. Michael Myers is a shark. Yeah. He has like this very methodical way of doing. He's gonna keep going because like there's the thing where sharks can't stop swimming, otherwise they die. Like it's just part of their breathing and like part of their functions that they have to keep moving. And Michael Myers is like that. You can't really stop him. He's just gonna keep going. And then also, for those of you who don't know, Jaws is my favorite movie. I'm probably going to be bringing up Jaws a lot throughout this podcast, but Loomis has a very similar quote to Quint in that movie where he refers to Michael's eyes as these black eyes, these evil eyes. Mm-hmm. And then it's very Loomis to Loomis. It's very similar to Quint's quote about sharks, like they have these black guys, like a doll's eyes.
Mm-hmm.
But this idea of these black, lifeless eyes being a representation of like pure evil. And yeah, just the way that like Michael Myers is so incredibly handled because like Dr. Loomis is the greatest hype man anyone could ever ask
completely.
for. It was just like, he's pure evil. He won't stop. He has to be stopped. Just like this concept was like, you don't know what you're messing with. Michael Myers is coming.
You know, we don't see him do much. We feel like we've seen him do terrible garbage things to people.
Yeah, like it just like he really builds this atmosphere through the dialogue. And let's talk about the Myers kills. Let's talk about like who he goes after, because we've been talking about this throughout the entire thing, but I've noticed a pattern throughout the first Halloween, second Halloween, the Rob Zombie remake, and the new one. Michael Myers definitely has a pattern in who he wants to kill. Like his main thing are teenage girls. Like he just has a weird thing for teenage girls. Like Michael Myers is a weirdly Freudian killer.
Yeah.
Like he had this thing where he saw his sister have sex at like a young age, and that made it, I don't know.
But see, he didn't see it though.
He knows what's happening.
Well, yeah.
But yeah, Michael's kills really root from his relationship with Judith, I feel like. And like this sort of like impure way that he saw his sister.
See, I don't know. I don't know if there is anything behind it. I'm in one of those camps where like not everything means something. You know what I mean?
What I'm trying to say is like there's a definite pattern at the people he targets.
But I feel like the new one kind of breaks that a little bit.
I think the new one supports it even more.
Well, because when we're talking about spoilers, but he just kills that one random mom to get the knife and things like that. It's just like he doesn't have necessarily. He does things to get what he needs.
That's my thing. Michael Myers wants to kill two types of people. He wants to kill teenage girls and anyone he needs to get to a teenage girl.
Yeah.
So like the mom that he kills her so that he can get the knife.
Yeah.
But then you see him. We're going to talk about 2018 later, but when he walks past that baby, he looks at it and he does nothing.
Yeah.
Because the baby's defenseless. He's like the Predator that way.
Yeah.
Like he has no need to kill this baby. Like he wants what he wants. So that's my thing. Michael Myers is a very methodical killer. He wants to kill a certain type of person, but if there's someone getting in his way to that certain type of victim, he's going to kill them so he can get to his victim. Michael Myers is a shark. He just wants to keep moving and get to the person he wants to get. So that's why, besides the truck driver who he killed to get his clothes, and I don't know why he didn't steal the pickup truck. Why he keeps the hospital car.
No idea.
It's the dumbest thing, and it's going to be the easiest thing to get him caught. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Like he kills the truck driver.
You gotta realize like he's not a kid currently.
Yeah.
But I think part of it is like part of why he doesn't speak probably too is he stunted like a child a little bit.
Yeah, because he had his first kill at 6.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He may not use logic, but like, he shows he's smart in other ways though.
Yeah. I don't know. Well, here's the thing. The 1970s did not have the best view of like mental health and like people with different disorders. The 2018 one doesn't have the best view of mental health either, and we'll talk about that when we get to it. But it's very much like an old-fashioned view of someone who's like mad or crazy.
Yeah.
So like because the film is so simple and it doesn't really get into these details, it's really up for interpretation.
Yeah.
But there is a definite pattern of like who Michael chooses to kill, how he chooses to kill them, and the way he goes about it.
I agree with your thing about intimacy.
Yeah.
Like all the strangling kills feel not intimate, like a creepy ass way to say intimate, but like
the Annie kill's amazing. I love the car strangling.
Mm-hmm.
How fogged up everything is, like because like he was inside the car and he's been. Well, that's the other thing. It's a lot of heavy breathing.
Yeah.
And that's another part of the atmosphere.
Yeah.
Like to connect the shark thing.
Also, little tiny details with John Carpenter. Yeah. Like her realizing the car door is locked, going to get the keys, and then she doesn't think about it and just opens the car door.
Opens the car door.
So like half a second, like, he's in there.
He's in there. And then she doesn't notice until she notices all the windows are fogged.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the other thing. It's the windows are fogged because he's breathing so heavy, and that's like a Jaws thing. Like it's another atmosphere thing. Like you think of the Jaws score, it's like da-na, and the heavy breathing like that definitely adds to the atmosphere, and that adds like he's watching. He's somewhere here, but I can't see him.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, do you want to just go through all the kills?
I mean, if you want to.
There's 5 of them, so it's not that hard.
I mean, there's the sister we see air quotes.
You see his hand going up and down, and you see her like covering her arms.
It's a psycho thing.
It's a psycho thing. It's very much a psycho callback.
Yeah.
With more nipples.
Yes,
And,
a lot more nipples.
And more blood.
Yeah.
You can see blood. She's covered in blood at the end. But you don't see, like, cut marks. Like, there isn't a ton of makeup or gore.
No. And that could have been a budgetary constraint, too.
Like, they probably couldn't afford squibs. But, like, you see other people, like once they're killed, they're covered in blood, but you don't see, like...
Yeah.
Like, a mark of any kind.
Yeah.
Besides just loose blood.
And then the truck driver is off-screen.
Off-screen. Loomis doesn't even notice him. He just finds the truck.
Yeah, and then he walks and finds him eventually.
No, he doesn't walk. It's
he
just
doesn't see him?
The camera just pans and we see him.
Oh, okay.
We can assume that he was probably found later at some point.
Yeah.
And then it's Annie, right?
Yeah.
It's Annie in the car, which I think is the best kill in the movie.
I don't know. It's not Dave, because Dave's in the new one, but is it Bob?
Bob.
Yeah.
Dave's kill is very much a callback to Bob's.
Bob, yeah, it's exactly a callback to Bob's.
Yeah.
But no, I think that one's my favorite. Just like
him hanging
there. The butcher knife that's just like going through him and into the wall to the point he's hanging off the butcher knife, which is ridiculous.
That's cool.
It's ridiculously cool though.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. But it's also ridiculous when you consider, like, what he's actually stabbing him into is, like, a pantry.
Yeah.
It's just, like, a door that's probably made of, like, plywood.
Yeah.
So, like, there's no way that he could support it, but it looks really cool.
It looks great.
I really like Annie's kill because it's very, like, well, it's the intimacy thing, but, like, he pops back, like, I think it's, like, the different elements that you're talking about. Like, she goes to the car's locked, so she go back to get the keys. She doesn't notice once she gets the key that the car is unlocked already.
Yeah.
And then when she notices the windows are fogged up, and she's like, what's this? And she's like touching the windows, like, why is this fogged up? And he pops up and he strangles her.
Yeah. It's the best overall scene of a kill.
Yeah.
I'm saying as far as, like, horror movie kill, I think Bob is my favorite.
In terms of, like, enjoyment of watching people getting massacred, the idea of Bob getting stuck to the wall with a knife is really cool.
Exactly, yeah. And then it's...
Well, I also... The thing about the Annie scene, her facial reactions while she's getting strangled are amazing. And
yeah,
I love at the end, she's just on the glass, and she's, like, has this terrible, like, the goofiest face on the planet. But, like, when you die... Like, movie deaths are, like, very romantic. They're like, you look glorious in death. But, like, if you're getting strangled like that, it's going to be ugly. Your eyes are still going to be open.
Yeah.
Shit like that. And I just love how brutal, like, and her strangling is. And then it's Bob.
Yeah.
Which we talked about. And then it's Linda.
Yeah. That's it.
And Linda's is really cool because of the sheet thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also like that she's strangled with a telephone wire. That's pretty... And she's on the phone.
The thing she's trying to use to escape.
Yeah, the thing is the thing that's killing her. And she's on the phone with Laurie. And the joke is it sounds like she's having sex.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. But, yeah, the kills, like, they're very simple, but they're like, if you like horror movie kills, like, you're going to enjoy them still. They're very simple, but, like, they are very satisfying.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah. And then it's Michael hunting down Laurie.
Yeah.
It's a one-on-one until Loomis comes in.
Mm-hmm.
And I really like that. Because Laurie is she's shown as, like, very simple, very plain Jane, very smart, very sweet, but she's not very adventurous.
Yeah.
And at the end, like, she really has to fight for her life. And what I like about Laurie, and we'll talk about this again with Allison in the new one, she's smart.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she doesn't fuck up a lot. Like, she's trying to figure out ways to survive. Like, when she takes the needle and stabs Michael in the neck and things like that. And she, like, pokes him in the eye with the fucking...
wire hanger. Yeah.
Wire hanger. Oh, that's why his eye's fucked up.
Oh, I never even thought about that.
At the end, it was just like, yeah, because he has, like, a fucked up eye, and I never really thought about that. It was like, oh, he must have gotten into an accident. I've seen this movie, like, 3 times, and I never put that together.
No, I never put it together.
Yeah, but that's why his eye's fucked up. And she stabs him in the eye in the closet scene.
Yeah.
And things like that. See, I like that Laurie, like, this traumatic experience, like, brought something out of her that she didn't know she had. And the new one definitely builds on that.
Mm-hmm.
I think to a little bit of an extreme, but we'll talk about that when we talk about that. But, yeah, like, Jamie Lee Curtis is really good in this movie. And there's a reason why this movie stands out among the pack and its imitators. It's because that Laurie, compared to other final girls, like, really... goes above and beyond in terms of, like, actual survival, and that she's smart and she doesn't make dumb decisions for the most part.
Yeah, exactly.
And like I said earlier, her scream is amazing. You don't get the
I don't get screams. I mean, I understand screams and they're cool, but I can't tell you between a good and a bad scream.
My difference between the good and the bad scream, if someone's screaming and you personally find it, like, deeply unnerving, that's a good scream.
Okay.
Like, if it really hits you, like, oh, damn. Like, you're, like, because that's part of it. You want to feel, like, kind of weird during a horror movie. But we'll talk about Allison, but, like, when she's screaming at the top of her lungs, I feel nothing. I'm like, you could have done better than that. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about Halloween. Do you have anything else you want to add?
I think we pretty much covered it.
It's a really simple movie, and it doesn't need a lot of conversation, but it's just really solid. So let's get into recommendations. Would you recommend the original Halloween from 1978?
Yes, I would completely recommend the original Halloween.
Yeah, so do I.
Especially if you're interested in seeing the new one. I very much recommend it.
It's essential if you want to see the new one. Rewatching it this time, it didn't hold up to my first viewing or even my second viewing, but it's still really solid. It's not the masterpiece I thought it was when I was 14. Yeah. But it's very much a movie made for 14-year-olds.
It's like Predator that I saw this year too, where it's I heard so much about it, I built up a completely different movie in my head. Yeah. In my head, the entire movie was her with Michael Myers in the house. Oh yeah. That's what that's the only scenes I knew. Like I knew the closet scene was iconic. I knew everything about that. The point I thought that was the entire movie. Yeah. So when that stuff in the house isn't until the last 15 minutes, I was just really confused. 20 minutes. Yeah. Yeah, but no, the overall movie I got was actually good, like the original Predator too. Yeah. I would say I recommend the movie still, but if you're more in my camp, you're very much a modern horror guy. Yeah. Like not like found footage and stuff like that, but this is very much a product of its time.
By today's standards, it's very tame. Yes. Yeah. But yeah, because I'm much more like classic film literate than you are, I would say. Yeah, completely. So this is very much in my wheelhouse. I like late 70s, early 80s horror and things like that. So yeah. This very much spoke to me even at 14. So yeah, I also recommend John Carpenter's Halloween. Overall, I don't think it's among his strongest, but it's really it put him on the map for a reason. And it shows despite low budgets, he's the real deal. And he knows how to work a camera and things like that. And he knows how to cut at the right time. Yeah. And obviously the score is great. So yeah, should we move on to... Let's move on to the next Halloween. Next up, we're going to be talking about Halloween. But this time from 2018. It's not confusing at all that 3 movies have the same title.
Hollow 2018.
Oh God. I'm going to kill you. You're fired. You're fired from co-hosting.
Hollow 2018. Hollow hashtag.
Yeah. Okay, we're talking about Halloween 2018, directed by David Gordon Green, starring, once again, Jamie Lee Curtis, Judy Greer, Andy Matichak.
Is that Paul?
No, that's Allison.
Oh, I don't say Andy Matichak. I'd say like that.
Andy Matichak. And then we'll talk about the others later, but those are the main 3. So... Connor, what's your personal history with Halloween 2018?
I saw it last night.
I saw it last night with him and a couple other people.
So here's the thing. The 3 actors you mentioned, the Strode women. Yeah. Perfect. Amazing.
We'll get into the Strode women.
Okay. You want to hold off on that?
Well, first we have to talk about the David Gordon Green stuff.
Oh, David Gordon Green. We're going to go through his entire filmography?
Well, not his entire filmography, but I want to talk about the overall arc. Okay. David Gordon Green has had a really interesting career. He started out in independent dramas. His first 3 movies are George Washington for the Real Girls, which I believe Danny McBride's in. That's how we met Danny McBride. And Undertow, Snow Angels. He was starting he had this very specific past of quiet, thoughtful dramas. He was
credited as the next Malick.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. Very personal, very beautiful cinematography.
No, Malick produced one of them.
Probably.
He did. I know for sure. I don't know which one.
It was probably George Washington.
No, I think it wasn't his first one, for sure. It was his second or third, because he got on Malick's radar.
It might have been Undertow?
I'm not sure, but I know I watched the video essay on David Gordon Green, and they said Malick produced one.
Okay. Well, yeah, but he was on a very specific track, but he was also friends with this guy, Danny McBride, who was this up-and-coming character actor who did both drama and comedy, and then his comedies really started to take off. And then suddenly he gets Pineapple Express, and that really brings his career on a completely different track. It's followed, he does Pineapple Express, Your Highness and the Sitter, which are all these stoner comedies. Danny McBride's in 2 of them. I don't believe he's in The Sitter, but they're all very similar kind of...
He did The Sitter?
He did The Sitter.
The Sitter's one of the worst movies I've ever seen. Really? Legitimately. I hate that movie.
Besides this current Halloween, David Gordon Green's always been a director that's on my radar, but I hadn't seen a movie of his until this one.
He's very on and off. I like Pineapple Express. Pineapple Express isn't cinema gold. Yeah. But no, he does Pineapple Express. Now I'm skipping ahead here, but he does Stronger, which I think is amazing. Yeah. And it's things like that. Yeah.
But yeah, he's had a really interesting career. He's consistently worked. After The Sitter, he kind of goes back on his original track. Mm-hmm. He does Prince Avalanche and Joe in the same year. Prince Avalanche is a comedy, but it's like very much an indie comedy.
Yeah.
Paul Rudd's in it, but it has a lot of like dramatic beats to it. And then he does Joe, which is an early role for Ty Sheridan. It's one of the few recent Nicolas Cage movies where people are like, oh shit, Nicolas Cage still, when he hits out of the park, he hits it out of the park.
Yeah.
And then he does some episodes of Eastbound and Down, which is Danny McBride's show. Manglehorn?
It's an Al Pacino movie.
It's an Al Pacino movie that
Greta Gerwig's in it, I think.
Holly Hunter's in it. Greta Gerwig's in The Humbling.
Oh, okay.
That's a Barry Levinson movie.
Okay.
But yeah, it's this Al Pacino movie that I've never heard of in my entire life. And then he does Our Brand is Crisis, which that's one of the worst trailers I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah, it's up there.
And then he does Stronger.
Vice Principals is amazing. He
does a lot of episodes of Red Oaks. He's doing a lot of like TV and stuff. There's Johnny.
Vice Principals is a legitimately very good show.
Which also has Danny McBride in it. So he has this working relationship with Danny McBride. And then they had it, like, it was their idea. It was like, we should make a Halloween movie.
Yeah.
It was like they were talking about the original Halloween movie and like John Carpenter movies as a whole. And it was like, we want to make something like that. Which is really interesting because like David Gordon Green has worked in a lot of genres. Horror isn't one of them. Like, it's really, this is a new thing for him. Like, this is something he doesn't have a lot of experience in. Like, he does a lot of dramas, which I think why a lot of this movie is the way it is, and we'll talk about it. But, like, this movie, when it's not in its, like, direct kill bits, relies a lot on sort of, like, weird, like, personal drama or kind of comedy that doesn't work most of the time.
Oh, I love the comedy in
Halloween. We'll talk about it.
But I dug the comedy in this.
Yeah.
And I hate Marvel comedy.
Here's the thing. The comedy's very hit or miss. When it works, and when it doesn't, it doesn't. Like, there are things that I just find severely unfunny in this.
Okay. We'll get to that.
But yeah. So yeah, that's Danny McBride, and
That's Danny McBride?
No, well, that's David Gordon Green. He's had a very interesting, varied career, and let's talk about his two screenwriters. There's this one guy who's credited on the screenplay, and his name is Google is being a bitch right now. His name is Jeff Fradley,
something like that. Yeah,
he's one of the three screenwriters. He's worked on like Vice Principals and Your Highness, so obviously he's like a buddy of Danny McBride and David Gordon Green.
Yeah.
He's third billed for a reason, I think. I think he did touch-ups on the screenplay, but he really doesn't matter. But I thought we should mention him briefly. He's the other screenwriter. But really the main other creative force of this movie is Danny McBride, who's one of the writers. And as a writer, Danny McBride, he does Your Highness. Obviously, he's the creator of Eastbound and Down, and he had a lot of influence on that show. And he's one of the co-creators of Vice Principals. And then it wasn't until recently that he's done like more and more writing. He wrote that Netflix movie, The Legacy of the White-tailed Deer Hunter.
It's apparently garbage.
Is it?
It's apparently terrible.
I wanted to watch it.
I was going to until I heard it's completely garbage.
Because that cast is really good. It's him and Josh Brolin. But yeah, he's written, but it's not like but again, it's mostly comedies and like small independent like dramedies. So like for them to be both say we want to make a Halloween film is really interesting, and it makes you wonder like what really sort of they latched onto that said we want to bring this franchise back, this legendary 40-year-old franchise, and bring it to a new generation. Yeah. So I think their involvement makes it really interesting. And now we can kind of go through the cast, and we're mainly going to be talking about the three Strode women. Yeah. So let's go back to Jamie Lee Curtis. How does her performance in this compare to the original?
Jamie Lee Curtis in the movie is good to me, but she always seems like she's not in a different movie, but in like a different universe of this movie, if that makes sense. She's always being a little too serious when people aren't, or a little too goofy when people aren't. Like the dinner scene's a perfect example for me. Where, like, I don't buy that whole dinner scene.
The dinner scene is not handled well, but I don't necessarily blame her performance. That's something where I blame the writing. And that's one of the things I was talking about. I think a lot of the human drama aspects, when it works, it really works well. Yeah. And I think a lot of times on the Judy Greer end, it really works out
Judy Greer works.
But there are other times where I just don't, like, that's not how normal people would react to this.
Exactly, yeah.
This is my main complaint with the movie overall. It gets a little too cutesy at sometimes. it gets a little screamy every now and again. It was like, weren't they brother and sister and blah, blah, blah.
Oh, that's something people say to make them feel better. Yeah. Things like that.
Things like that is like, this is totally unnecessary. You could have just said, it was like, that was a rumor. It's not true. Shit like that.
Yeah.
If you really want to cut Halloween 2 and the other movies out of it, it was just like, no, they're not brother and sister. That's a rumor. We know. Blah, 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 blah. But yeah, the callbacks to the original are a little too cutesy. Like, some of the in-jokes are a little too cutesy.
All the callbacks did not bother me at all. Like,
some of them bothered me.
The ghost was great. I liked that we had another closet scene. Mm-hmm. Things like that.
The closet thing, I think, was handled well. The ghost is fine, but, like, there's another shot where he's, like, in the middle of somebody's laundry being dried on clothespins and things like that.
Well, no, I felt like everything that brought... There was some that were like just this exact same shot from the original.
Yeah, that's the ones I didn't like, when they just recreated shots from the original.
Okay.
Like, there's things like...
Or, like, yeah, obviously Dave's death dramatically mirrors Bob's, where it's him with a knife.
Exactly
like,
Bob's.
Into a wall.
The only, like, added thing is the little tattoo.
See, what my reading of that was, this is Michael Myers. Since we skip all of the other ones, he's only done this once before, and that was which I like that they refer them as the babysitter murders.
That's one of the ones I actually liked.
Yeah. But no, this is him kind of not... He's repeating himself a little bit, and he knows he's repeating himself.
Yeah.
He's doing it because this might be like he's finally going to get Laurie, so he's doing everything that he did up to that point and trying to get it right this time.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't kill 3 teenage girls, too. I think
he kills Vicky.
Is that the only teenage girl he kills?
Teenage girl, yeah.
Yeah.
He tries to kill Allison.
Yeah.
But yeah. One of the things that the movie really wants to tackles is these 3 generations of Strode women and how they all really... how they're all kind of similar and how they're all kind of different.
Yeah.
And I think for the most part it really does it well. I think on a scene-by-scene basis it's sort of hit or miss, but by the time it comes to the end it all wraps up really nicely. And I think that's one of the things that overall I think the movie works, because when you get down to it at the end it's satisfying, even though the journey's kind of rocky.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think Jamie Lee Curtis is really good with the material she's given. My thing is, and I was talking about this a little bit earlier, this interpretation of how Laurie Strode would live her life after the first Halloween is extremely dramatic.
Yeah, it's fucked.
It's not great, and it like took PTSD to an extreme. Like she went from like this very smart, very intelligent, but very normal girl into like this essentially Rambo.
Yeah.
And she's, like, dedicated her life to, like, the hunting and trapping and, like, killing of Michael Myers.
Yeah.
And, like, but here's the thing. Like, as the movie's going, I was like, this is unrealistic. I don't like it. But I really like the climax.
Yeah.
I like when the movie essentially turns into Straw Dogs with Michael Myers. Mm-hmm. So, like, in the end, I find it satisfying. But, like, throughout the film, I was like, is this really who Laurie Strode would turn out to be?
Yeah. See, I took this as, like, it's more of a campy route, and I was accepting of that.
Yeah.
That's just, and I'm, you know me personally, I'm a lot more accepting of just dumb stuff in movies.
Yeah.
I'm very easy to buy into something.
Mm-hmm. And I am too, but, like, I think part of it's hype.
Yeah.
I feel like the trailers made this out to be a little more realistic
than it was, yeah.
A little more sort of action-packed than it was. Like,
yeah. Well, I mean, seeing the first Halloween, kind of, I expected this to be a lot more action-packed, and I was like, okay, I'm going to tone those expectations down a lot.
Here's the thing, like, I'm okay with goofiness, but I didn't expect it to be this goofy at times.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, that's Jamie Lee Curtis. She's good. She's really good.
She's good.
In the scenes that she's great. And in the scenes where it's kind of iffy, I think it's more the script than... Yeah. The script is not perfect, and we'll talk about that.
I mean...
With one character in specific, we'll talk about that.
Yeah.
And now, Judy Greer. We love Judy Greer.
Unanimously, we adore Judy Greer.
Judy Greer is a national treasure. She gets the short shrift in so many movies, though.
Yeah.
And for most of this movie, it was looking like she was going to get the short shrift in this one, too.
Yeah.
Because the 2 main examples are the Ant-Man movies and the first Jurassic World.
Yeah.
She's, like, playing this, like, Judy Greer has a lot of charisma, and she's really fucking funny, and can be brassy, and, like, has all this charm. And then, like, they just get her to play, like, stay-at-home moms who are just, like, dour and worrying all the time.
Exactly, yeah.
And she's like that for the first, like, 3/4 of this movie, and then once she turns, she fucking turns hard. her last real thing where she's crying was like, Mom, help, Mom, this, that. And then Michael shows up and she's like, gotcha, and shoots him in the fucking face. Oh, it's so good. Motherfucker. It's really good. I love Judy Greer in general. For the most part, she gets the short shrift, but when she works, she works.
Exactly.
And now let's talk about Andy Matichak and da-da-da.
Just getting out of the way.
Allison.
Being a teenage boy. Mm-hmm. Being a boy's 20, so not teenage anymore.
Yeah.
Beautiful woman.
Gorgeous.
Gorgeous woman.
Also,
get out of the way. Not important. But she's an amazing talent in this movie.
Can I also say, it's really good casting. Like, when you look at the three generations of
she looks like Jamie Lee Curtis.
She kind of does. Well, here's the thing. She looks like a combination of Jamie Lee Curtis and Judy Greer.
Yeah, it's perfect casting.
Because she has red hair. But, like, when you look at the three generations side by side by side, like if one were right next to each other, like, they wouldn't look exactly like the other. But when you put all three of them together, it just fits perfectly.
Exactly, yeah.
Like, you really do believe... And that's one of my things, like... When I watch movies and TV shows about families, I like to see, like, when you put them all together, do they look alike?
Exactly. Like in Bad Times at Royale.
Yeah.
I almost said Dakota Fanning. Dakota Johnson's sister looks exactly like her.
Looks exactly like
it looks like a young Dakota Johnson.
It's not even funny. Whereas Jeff Bridges and Nick Offerman next to each other don't really look all that much alike.
No. Also,
there's like a 20-year difference between the two.
Yeah.
But, yeah, when you look at the three of them next to each other, it's like, hot damn, yeah, they are definitely all related. They are one maternal unit. It's really, really cool. And also, I like that Allison, while she's not the exact same character as Laurie, shares a lot of traits with Laurie in the original one. She's really fucking smart. She gets the National Honor Society.
She's Laurie if Laurie was in the 2000s, I feel like. She's a very natural translation.
Yeah, she's a very modern translation. She's a little more social. Like the whole idea with Laurie, like, Laurie is considered, like, very virginal.
Yeah.
Like, when Annie tries to hook her up with Ben Tramer, it's like, please don't. Like, I'm so embarrassed. Things like that. You know, Allison has some, like, she's with a guy, and she really likes him. And obviously there are things about that relationship that don't work out.
Yeah.
Because the guy's a douche.
Yeah.
But, you know, she's, like, very confident, and she's a modern woman. She knows what she wants.
Mm-hmm.
But also, the thing I was saying about Laurie is, like, she's fucking smart. And everything she does when, like, Michael gets involved, she does for survival. She does, like, almost everything right until she runs into the woods.
Yeah.
But that's so she can get back to the Strode house.
Yeah, that was purely a way just to get away from Michael.
Yeah. Honestly, like, she probably would be better off, like, running through the woods than down a dark street anyway.
Yeah.
So, like, that's... Bless you. That's one of the situations where you're between a rock and a hard place and there's no good decisions.
You have a better chance of losing Michael in the woods. At this point, she knows about Michael from hearing from her mom and her grandmother.
And then once she sees him, it's like, oh, fuck.
Yeah, no, the first kill, she sees the aftermath of her friend.
Yeah.
And then she sees Michael, like, crush the one doctor against the windshield.
Does she see that?
Yeah, she's in the car seat next to him.
Oh, fuck.
Like, she's sitting next to him that entire time.
Oh, God.
And she gets out by crawling through the front and out the front door.
Oh, no. I thought you were talking about when he finally kills the doctor.
No.
When he finally
crushed him against the windshield.
Yeah,
no, she doesn't see that. No.
Yeah.
She runs away after that, before that.
Okay, yeah, no, that's what I'm talking. But that's the thing, like, one of the reasons she got out of the car is, like, I'll tell you what Michael said. You know, she's lying to this doctor if you stop the car.
Yeah.
Like, everything she does to try to survive.
And it's a little bit of a joke, but like what'd he say? What'd he say? And then, like, you see Michael wake up and she says, fuck. And then, like, then he crashes like that thing.
Yeah.
Like I said, he said one word. What was the word? His sister, was it Judy? And she's like, fuck. That was perfect.
Yeah. But that's a really well done scene.
Yeah.
That's predecessed by a bunch of bullshit, but we'll get into that. Yeah, I think she's really good. I think, you know, she's good with the material she's given.
No, she's good.
She's given a lot of, like, the romance melodrama that's cliched
and that's the stuff that doesn't work for me in the movie.
Here's the thing.
When they're at the dance, I don't care.
I don't care either.
Also, when they put their phone, like...
in the pudding?
I was like, girl, your phone's still working.
Yeah.
Like, just grab your phone.
You can wipe that up. I mean, your charger might be fucked, but you're good for the night.
Yeah, like, just grab... Like, he's like, should I get that or should you? And, like...
Well... Also, here's the thing about that. Like, it's easier to take the phone out and get it repaired than buying a new fucking phone and leaving it there. That's horror movie bullshit.
And, no, that exists so she won't have a phone later in the movie.
To call the mom.
That's why that scene exists.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, that's another script
But they could also, if they wanted to show us the phone doesn't work.
Yeah.
The phone's ring when he puts it in. Just have it stop ringing. But you hear it continue to ring in the pudding.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, that phone is still functional.
But that's the thing. Like, most of the problems with the movie are at a script level.
Yes.
That's not her fault. That scene...
Well, that's a directing thing. Just, like, the straight, like, thinking of thought, like, why would I still have the phone be ringing here?
Yeah.
But in the editing, they can fix that, too, because I'm assuming that was put in post.
Why would she leave it there? That's a writing thing as well.
Yeah.
But also David Gordon Green wrote on the script and is the director.
Yeah.
But that's like script bullshit to get the plot to continue. But like that scene she has with the shitty boyfriend, like not a great scene, super cliched. Like, she does really well with that material.
She does great, but like I don't care that he's whispering to this like sexy cheetah girl.
He
like,
wasn't whispering, she kissed him.
Okay, that's what he says. Like, girl, she whispered in my ear.
Yeah, no, he's lying.
No,
on his
I
ass.
think it was a kiss.
No,
like,
no, it is the kiss.
Is it a
you
kiss?
See a kiss.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know. I didn't see. I was honest. I was like, I don't give a fuck about this kid.
Because if he was just talking to a girl, I don't think she would be crying and running out the dance.
We see. Here's the thing. We see the kiss.
Here's the thing. That girl comes on to him. He handles it poorly.
Yeah. No. Well, we let you know that.
No, we do know that.
We don't know, but you don't know that she came on to him. I think part of it was that he saw he got caught.
Yeah. No, that's also part of it. Yeah.
No, I don't. For one, we don't know. It doesn't matter if she came on to him or he came on to her. It doesn't matter because that plan doesn't matter because we never see that boyfriend again.
Oh, I thought he was going to be dead. Like, here's the thing. I didn't realize until just now that he didn't get killed.
No, we never see him again.
We never see him again.
We hear that they evacuated the dance.
He's related to one of the kids in the first movies, and that's why they include him.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
I didn't even notice that.
The dad, Ray, says, me and Lonnie is one of the bullies. He's the one that goes up to the Myers house, and Loomis says, Lonnie, get your ass away from that house.
Oh, it's that guy?
It's that kid's son.
It's that little kid.
Yeah. It's that little kid's son.
That makes sense.
Yeah. But yeah, that's another like connection to the first movie, and that's why... It's bad.
That makes me like it less a little bit.
It makes me... What? That's the reason? Or like...
No, that there's that connection there.
Well, here's the thing. I like the connection. I just think that character in general is pointless.
Like, Lonnie's pointless.
Yeah. And we'll talk about, like, the kid's performance. Like, he's good at playing a douche.
He's good. No, he's good. And I've seen that kid in something else before.
He's in Mudbound.
I haven't seen Mudbound. But is that his only thing?
He's in... Did you see the movie Laggies?
Yes, I did.
You saw Laggies?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
That's
Laggies.
What
you saw him.
Yeah.
He's fine with the material he's given. He's supposed to play a douche, but...
There's no bad actor in this. Oh, I mean, do you disagree with me?
No. Well, here's the thing. I don't think any of the performances are bad. It's what I said, like, any problems I have with a character on a script level.
Same problem with, like, A Star is Born for me and Steve. It's like, all the problems that exist in the movie are in the script.
Yeah. So, Andi Matichak. Good actress.
Great actress.
We've seen her in one thing.
She's good. I mean, here's the thing. The stuff, if I was basing my opinion on her purely based on Halloween, I would say she is a great actress. Based purely on Halloween.
I think she gives a really good performance based on the material she's given.
But I'm excited to see more from her completely.
I am excited to see more from her. That is very true. Next, Nick Castle is back, and like I mentioned earlier, James Jude Courtney also plays the Shape in some of the more stunt-intensive.
Yeah, no, and he's great.
It's really good.
Michael Myers is great.
He's really good at being Michael Myers.
Should we just transition to like what doesn't work in the movie?
There's a couple more actors I want to talk about.
Okay.
Because we're going to be talking about both them and their characters.
Because, well, it's the podcast people.
Well, yeah, we started talking about the shitty boyfriend, so let's talk about the other two guys. Let's talk about Miles Robbins, who plays Dave, who's Vicky's boyfriend.
Okay, here's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Dave's great.
I hate Dave.
Oh, but you're supposed to hate. Dave is a guy I knew in high school. That's why I like Dave. Like, you see where he goes in the motorcycle?
Mm-hmm.
Relatable 125%.
I would do that.
Where he's just like, cool.
And
he's
I would do that.
He's like just revving the motorcycle, smoking a cigarette.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
A cigarette?
Yeah, he had it was a joint.
It's weed.
Yeah, it was a joint. It's a marijuana cigarette, Steve, okay?
It's the devil's lettuce.
Yeah, but no, cigarette, weed, regardless, it's still just a great image. It's a high school image.
But here's the thing. I think one of the reasons you like him is subconsciously he reminds you of Jughead from Riverdale.
No,
because to me he looked like a more punchable Cole Sprouse.
No, I don't.
It's the dark hair.
I guess that kid looks nothing like Cole Sprouse to me.
I think he looks.
His
like
character's nothing like Jughead.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't like Dave. I was glad when Dave was dead.
They show Riverdale Halloween episode.
Hush. That's not the point. And then Drew Schneid, who played Oscar, the Danny McBride part, as I like to call him.
The Danny McBride, Jonah Hill part.
Yeah, absolutely.
That kid's fine. He just seemed like, okay, what was his connection to the boyfriend?
They were just friends.
Okay, because they look just enough alike, kind of,
that they could be
like cousins or like something like that.
They might be. I just took it as they were friends. Here's the thing: the first scene, I thought he was gay.
Yeah, because that whole weird like lip crusty thing.
Here's the thing: like, guys have weird homoerotic jokes.
Yeah.
Like between you, me, and Clay, we have weird homoerotic jokes all the time.
It's like a weird sense of humor thing.
It's a weird sense of humor.
But no, that character exists to get my voice got terrible. That character exists to get killed.
Absolutely.
And that's my only bummer with him. He exists to, like, make a weirdly creepy move on her and then get killed.
Yeah, that's my thing. Like, the scene where he's, like, very clearly making a move on her the entire time is like, I know a shortcut. I'm like, I know where this is going.
Yeah. No, the scene with him and Michael Myers is great.
Yeah.
Like,
no, that's the thing. Once she leaves and he's just, like, drunk talking to Michael Myers, not realizing he's going to get killed, like, that scene's awesome.
Mr. But I don't put the last name. He says, hey, I'm just, how are you?
I'm sorry that I'm on your lawn. I'm just drunk and sad. I'll get off. And then... And because it's the motion lights, so it turns off and they turn back on, and Michael Myers is closer.
He's like, hey, what's up?
What's up? You're being really creepy right now. Like
no, that scene's great.
Yeah, that scene's really good. But it's a lot of bullshit will happen to lead to a really good scene.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
It's a lot of stuff like I hate this, I hate this, I hate this. Oh, this is really good.
Yeah. So he's fine.
Yeah, he's fine with the material he's given. There's a million other actors who could have played that.
Yeah, completely.
It's like basically the same annoying character from Love, Simon and like a million other teen movies.
Yeah.
So, and then I guess if we're still with the teenagers, let's talk about Vicky real quick.
Vicky is a ray of sunshine. Like, here's the thing. I was watching that, and like the previous Halloween, all of her friends are shitty garbage people.
Yeah, they're all garbage people.
Vicky is legitimately like... Vicky's great.
Vicky's very charming.
Vicky is amazing.
She has a great relationship with that one kid.
Vicky is a girl I would have a crush on in high school.
Oh, I would have a crush on her big time. Why is Google being annoying? But I want to pull up the actress's name, and I have the IMDb link saved, and it won't let me click on it.
Here, I can look it up really quick.
No, I got it now. It's loading. Her name, the actress is Virginia Gardner.
Virginia Gardner is another thing I'm excited to see things from her, because she kills it. Virginia Gardner's great. She's
been working in stuff. She does a lot of TV. She was in that movie Project Almanac.
Oh, okay. I own that. I need to watch it. Wait, who's she on Glee?
She probably showed up for an episode.
Oh, Katie Fitzer. Okay.
She does a lot of TV. But yeah, she's good.
Yeah, she's great.
That's the other thing. One of the nice things about Halloween, and that what really good slasher movies do well, is that most of the victims you want to hate, so the kills are satisfying.
Yeah.
Like, I was upset when she died.
No, this entire movie, except for, like, I was never... like, happy someone died. I was always kind of bummed out, which is a good thing, because it shows you care about the characters.
But with a slasher movie, you kind of want to enjoy the kills for the most part.
See, I agree with that, but I also don't. I think that's more of a thing that stays in the 80s for me. That's what stays in the 80s.
That's the thing. Like, that, in terms of horror, like, I like a lot of modern horror movies, too.
Yeah.
But for this kind of horror movie, I want to enjoy some of the kills. And I enjoy less of the kills than I...
For me, the enjoyment comes from the spectacle rather than like actually who is getting the killing. For me, because I'm sad when she dies. I'm sad. Actually, that's the only one. Like, I'm terrible. Like, the woman who's just in her kitchen. Like, obviously that's not a character, but when she dies, I feel so sad because that's just a woman just living her life.
That's one of the more brutal kills. It's also with a hammer, so it's like.
And also the woman who's just like on the phone, like, okay, I'll lock my doors. That one take scene is just great.
But that's the other thing, is like, we don't know these people, so I can kind of enjoy them getting killed brutally.
Yeah.
But like, Vicky was like, I like Vicky. Like, I would hang out with Vicky. Whereas in the original Halloween, like, Linda, Annie, garbage friends.
Vicky's just great.
They're bad friends who take advantage of Laurie.
No, they're just garbage people. That's why, like, Dave's a nice guy too. Dave's like...
I hate Dave. Dave is such a douche.
He's a shithead.
He's overly pretentious. He's a shithead. He's a pyromaniac.
Okay, here's the thing. Dave... Yeah, he's kind of a pyromaniac. Actually, like, no, he's not. But yeah,
he's legitimately
the whole firecrack scene.
Yeah, the fire.
But no, Dave is a guy, like, he's an amalgam of guys I knew in high school.
Yeah.
And that's why he works fine for me. Yeah. And I can buy him as her shitty boyfriend that she'll dump the second they graduate.
Oh, absolutely.
I buy that for complete.
That's the other thing, is like, Vicky can do better than this guy.
Oh, no, they'll dump as soon as they graduate. 110%.
110%.
But no, like, just like where he gets the tattoo that says 10/31/18.
Yeah.
And like, I won't say the actual jokes, trying to keep it semi-friendly on this podcast. The thing she says to him.
I've said fuck like 27 times.
She says like, you're getting dry fucked tonight, which is so good.
That's a funny ass line, yeah.
And then should we transfer it to the other man in her life?
Oh god. What was the kid's name?
Oh, I don't remember.
Was the character's name Julian?
It was Julian.
Okay, I have the actor here. His name is Jabrail Nantambu.
Is this his first thing?
He was on an episode of Preacher.
He was on an episode of Preacher. Okay, people I want to see more of. Jabrail Nantambu. Did I say it right?
Jabrail Nantambu.
If you're listening, dude, I don't know why you would be. Sorry when I say your name so bad, but dude, you're perfect.
He's so good.
You're gold.
I know you're smoking weed.
I know you're smoking weed.
He's the funniest shit in this movie.
He legitimately is the greatest comedy in the entire movie.
In terms of batting average of lines, he hits everyone out of the park.
Everyone.
He delivers everyone perfectly.
Oh, my other babysitter's making sure I'm instead of seeing us mask my nasty ass feet.
I'm clipping my nasty ass toes here.
It's so good. He's great.
And when he runs out of the house, which I'm so glad he lives, it was like, Dave, people are fucking dying.
It's so good. Or he sees Michael outside his bedroom.
Yeah.
And what's the girl's name? Vicky. Vicky wants to go upstairs. No, send Dave first.
Send Dave first. Yes. Oh,
it's just so good. And Dave's like, what the fuck? It's so good. He's great. Yeah. I want that little kid to be the new child comedy star.
No, I want a sitcom starring him.
I would. What's the one with Gary Coleman?
Different Strokes.
Different Strokes reboot with that kid.
Different Strokes reboot with that kid. Oh God, what's he talking about, Willis?
My heart just.
But here's the thing: that kid has impeccable comedic chops.
Oh, he's great.
He has really great instincts in terms of being funny.
No, he was. I wanted the episode of Preacher filmed before or after this, because obviously Seth Rogen's a producer on Preacher.
Oh, that's true.
So they probably found this kid for Halloween, or Preacher vice versa. This kid's great. We needed him to be in this.
Maybe.
And Seth Rogen's a friend with Dan McBride, obviously.
And David Gordon Green.
And David Gordon Green, yeah. So I wonder if it was a thing where it's they recommended him into Sec recommended it to them.
That could be the case, or it could just be a coincidence.
It could be a coincidence.
But that's very likely, because, it didn't make the... Is Danny McBride involved with Preacher at all?
It's just him and Evan Goldberg.
It's just him and Evan Goldman. Yeah,
Goldberg, I don't know what his name is, but yeah.
Yeah, that's totally possible. But yeah, Jabrail Nantambu. That
Great
kid
guy.
Fucking killed it.
He is amazing.
All right, and now let's get into the real meat of the things. Let's talk about... Do I have the doctor next? I do have the doctor next. Haluk Billinger, I believe he's Indian.
Here's the thing. The doctor exists in this movie to be our Loomis parallel.
He does exist to be in our Loomis parallel.
To the point she even says, oh, you're the new Loomis.
You're the new Loomis. The way he delivers lines is very similar to Donald Pleasance at the time.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. This guy, not bad. I fucking hate this character.
The character exists to just exist, and to be the Loomis parallel, and to give us one of the gruesomer kills.
Oh, no, it's the most gruesome.
I would say it's the most immediately gruesome. There's others we see, it's the most gruesome kill we see happen.
Yeah, because there's some off-screen kills that are pretty bad. But no, here's the thing. It's one thing if he's just your Loomis. The twist at the end is so fucking dumb.
It worked for me for, the same thing happened in Infinity War. At the end of Infinity War, I was like, oh my god, this is genius. And then, think about it, perhaps saying, oh, that's terrible.
Yeah.
Same thing with this. When he hits Michael with the car, he thinks he's dead, he kills the cop, and he puts on the mask, this is genius. Then I'm like, no, this is just so fucking dumb.
It's the dumbest shit I've ever seen in my entire life. And that was my reaction to Infinity War as well. But no, it's a bad twist. I don't really think it's necessary at all.
No, it doesn't go anywhere.
It doesn't really go anywhere. There's easier ways to, A, kill that character off.
Yeah.
Because that character is a dead body character from the moment you see him. Mm-hmm. And then B, get Michael to the Strode house.
Yeah.
So the entire thing I felt was just unnecessary. Not a bad performance, but that character...
Yeah.
They could have completely changed how they handle him. And then next up, I believe I have Patton. I have Will Patton, who plays...
He's the police officer?
Chief Hawkins? Sheriff Hawkins?
It's something like that.
Well, no, he's not a sheriff. He's part of the sheriff's department.
Yes. Would you think Hawkins is a reference to Stranger Things?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think it's a coincidence. But I did think that as well. I think it's a coincidence, though.
I like what we get with him, where we hear that he's the one who stopped Loomis from killing. Is it Loomis?
No, Hawkins was a deputy at the time, and he was one of the officers that apprehended Michael.
They say legitimately he's one of the people that stopped Loomis from shooting Michael.
Yeah, but he was also there to apprehend Michael.
So it's also, if you think about it, which he never addressed this as character, but it's almost kind of his fault this is happening a little bit.
Not really. He put Michael Myers in jail.
But no, he's the one who stopped Loomis from killing him.
He's an officer who did his job, but it's the reason that he feels so motivated to stop Michael now.
I'm not saying, like, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying it's his fault as a police officer. I'm saying deep down in that character, which he never said it to anybody, but I at least inferred it as like, oh, there's some part of him that blames him for this that's happening.
He feels a deep personal connection, and that's one of the reasons he really wants Michael to be behind bars.
Exactly. Or he is one of my favorites, only for one thing he says.
Yeah.
When they hit him in the car, he says he's dead. He still says, I'm still going to put a bullet in his head.
Yeah.
That's like, because like every time that like Michael's like down, I'm like, just do it. Just make sure it's done.
Cut off his head. Yeah.
Exactly. Do something to make sure he will not get back up. And he's the one character that says, I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, perfect.
Yeah. And then the doctor fucking kills him.
And the doctor stabs him with this pen.
Yeah, this weird knife pen that he has for no reason. Yeah, he's really good. He's very much our modern Chief Barrett, was the name of the chief?
Something like that, yeah.
Something like that. He's good. He has a weird scene with Laurie where the doctor's like, do you know this is the woman who stopped Michael Myers, And then she immediately says, do you know why I prayed for him to escape every night?
Yeah, no, that's just weird. It's like...
Here's the thing.
Hey, that line is just unmotivated. Her line?
Yeah. Here's the thing.
It's just unmotivated.
Good exchange of dialogue they have. Weird to go from that line to her line.
I forget what line he says.
He says, why the fuck would you do that? And it was like, so I could kill him myself.
Before that, she says, do you know I prayed for him? Do you know what I prayed for every night?
It's nothing that he said. The doctor says, the doctor says to Hawkins, do you know that this is the woman who survived Michael Myers' attacks? And then she says, do you know why I prayed for him to escape every night? It's a weird transition.
Yeah. So I can kill him. And it's like, that's a dumb thing to pray for.
Yeah, and then she says, so I can kill him myself, and things like that. That line exchange really works in the trailer, but in the context of the movie, it was like, why the fuck did that go to that?
No.
And, I don't know. And then we have two more people. Toby Huss, who plays Judy Greer's husband and Allison's father.
It's a guy, we spoke a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
It's a guy that's a good actor, and I can tell he's trying his best. The material he was given was terrible.
Yeah, not great material he was given. He was given consistently some of the worst lines, and he's really doing his best with it.
He's given, like, the cheap laugh lines. Like, where he's like, what do you say? That was it guacamole?
No, like, I got peanut butter on my penis.
I got peanut butter on my penis. Which is, like, it made me chuckle, because it's just, like, you said the word penis.
Yeah.
But, like, that's about it.
But no, it's like, that's a weird line, so he delivered it a very specific way. I remember it was like, I got peanut butter on my penis. Like, he put a pause in there.
Yeah. And then, like, later, like, 5 minutes, he's like, I gotta wash the peanut butter off. Like, I had a conversation.
Yeah.
It's also, like, that's really aggressive peanut butter. Like,
yeah.
Like...
It got on his shorts. He was trying to be funny. He was given consistently some of the worst dialogue, and he did the best he could with it.
Exactly, yeah.
And then, let's just end on the podcast, people. Ryan?
What are you?
I think that's Ryan.
Talking about?
The woman.
Oh, I was looking at the wrong thing. I would say Ryan. Sorry, I was looking at the next people.
Yeah, it's a Rhian. I feel like that's Ryan Reese.
Ryan Reese.
She's the woman, Hall. And then Jefferson Hall. Podcast people. Ryan Reese, better actress through and through. Her character is more likable. Jefferson Hall, I wanted him to be dead meat so badly. His kill was probably the most satisfying for me.
Yeah, I would say that. I mean, I don't know the most satisfying.
Yeah.
The movie begins
Yeah.
with those two at the asylum.
Oh, don't get me started on this scene.
The beginning of the movie is, I was like, there's parts when I watch it, like, I'm concerned this movie's going to be bad from the second it starts.
That ending's bad.
The beginning is terrible.
Yeah.
Where it's like, say something, Michael, as he's holding up the mask.
Yeah.
I'm like, what?
And it cuts weird, and I don't like the opening credits. And
the opening credits, that's a thing where it pays homage to the original.
It does, but it pays homage in, like, the goofiest way.
It's very much, you can tell, David Green is a fan of Halloween.
Yeah.
He's the point where, like, he's too much of a fan to be making this movie.
Yeah.
Because it gets to the point where it's like, but guys, I did the same opening credits because I'm a fan.
Well, here's my thing. We were talking about the opening credits last night because, for those of you who haven't seen the movie...
Which you shouldn't be listening to this if you haven't.
We've spoiled the hell out of it already. But the opening credits of Halloween, it's the jack-o'-lantern and the credits are right next to it. Iconic opening credits. I love those opening credits. This one does something similar. They carve the jack-o'-lantern to look exactly the same. It has the same dash from the nose down to the mouth. But it's a reverse time-lapse. So it starts decayed, and then through the credits, it gets more and more to its original form. And when it ends in its original form, the thing is almost entirely in silhouette, so you can only see like the candle and the outline of the jack-o'-lantern itself. And I love that. If it was a reverse time lapse and it stayed just like that, where you can only see what the candle is lighting, I would have really liked those opening credits. But like the way it's lit initially, like you can see everything, and you can also see the background. It's like a purple background.
Yeah.
It makes it just kind of seem goofy, and I'm like, I know what it's trying to do, but like it's just kind of taking too long to get there.
Yeah.
But if it was shrouded in darkness, and then when it got up, it was just the outline of the jack-o'-lantern, I think I would have liked it a little bit more. But also just like when Jefferson Hall podcast dude, it's weird that we're complaining that they have a podcast on a podcast.
And we're doing it.
We're the most hypocritical jerks in the world. But it was like, say it, and then it cuts right to that. It's a weird, like very quick cut.
It's I don't want to say cheap. It's not cheap, but it is very much like a horror movie thing to like get like people going wild, him screaming, say it, and then cutting to Halloween.
Yeah.
It's a very, I mean, Halloween's not a title that works well with, if that makes sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because like it's like say it, and then it cuts like Halloween. If it was say it, and it was like the name was like Michael Myers, then that makes much more sense.
Yeah.
But no, it's a very odd choice. I get why it's done. It's a very horror movie thing, and you're supposed to be hyped seeing him holding up the mask and Michael with his back, and everyone else in the sandstone's going wild.
Well, that's the other thing. Like, when you cut back to them after the opening credits, it was like, well, that didn't work.
No.
Like, they acknowledge that it's the dumbest shit in the world.
Yeah. It's just, I don't, like, what do you expect him to say?
Yeah.
Like,
this man who hasn't spoken in
40 years?
55 years.
55 years,
Since 1963. He hasn't spoken in 55 years.
Yeah. I don't know what they were expecting.
I don't know what the fuck they were expecting.
But no, I got the impression that she was more, it was her podcast too, but she was like kind of along for the ride a little bit.
Yeah, to build off that, I had the expression like they both want to be taken seriously as journalists. Like they're very much like Serial.
But she realizes what actually they need to do, where he's the artsy boy journalist.
Yeah, like he comes up with all this poetic language, and she sort of goes along with it because they might be boning or something. And
I think they are.
I think they're boning. They're British in like Middle America. Yeah. So like there's this outsider thing. Like she says, "Where's the loo?" And he's like, "The what?" And she's like, "The bathroom." It's like he's outside. Like shit like that. I don't know. I think she's a good actress.
She's a good actress.
Also, back to screams. Really great scream. Blood-curdling scream. When she gets killed, it's intense.
Yeah.
And he has to like pull her by the ankle and shit like that. I don't know. Yeah, so podcast dude, Aaron, I think the character's name was.
It's Aaron.
One of the most satisfying kills. Michael Myers just like shoves his head into a wall until he stops breathing. Oh, it's so good. And then let's... yeah, that's pretty much all the actors I want to talk about. It's pretty much everyone. We covered a lot more. It's a bigger cast in general, so we covered a lot more people. So let's just kind of... We've been talking about the film and different character beats. Let's kind of talk about the film overall. Things you liked, things you didn't like.
I like the approach more modern horror aesthetic.
Mm-hmm.
It's more gruesome. It's more violent.
Yeah.
And also, like, the writing is more, obviously, modern because it's written in a modern time.
Yeah.
With the exception of the high school kids, I bought everyone with the dad. I didn't not buy the dad.
Some of the family drama stuff early on, like I said earlier, didn't work for me, but by the end.
Like, here's the thing. When it's like, did you call grandma? She's like, oh, yes, I did.
Grandmother. She's constantly saying grandmother.
Yeah, I don't know. It might be an Illinois thing.
I mean, you live right next to it. It's closer.
That's true. I know people who say grandmother a lot.
Really?
Like, not like grandmother, like that is my grandmother. Like, that, not my grandma. They say grandmother.
Yeah.
But, no, that was just a weird thing to me. And, like, here's the thing. When you lie, Judy Greer, your daughter can very easily check to see that you lie.
She's also 17.
Yeah.
It's not like, what's Santa Claus? And you
like,
can...
No, that stuff was like, oh, you're not good at your job of lying to your daughter. Like...
Is that all parenting is? Their job is to lie to your children?
A lot of it's lying to your
children.
A lot
of it is lying to your children.
Especially the early years.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I like all the characters. They're fine.
Mm-hmm.
The high school stuff didn't need... I mean, I know why it's in the movie.
Yeah.
And other than, like, the actual cinematography in the prom scene is amazing. I like the way that was directed. It's very much a really cool scene.
Yeah.
Just the moment their mouths open, I don't care about that scene anymore.
No. Yeah, yeah, we covered that. I don't like the boyfriend and stuff.
No.
Yeah, it's very hit or miss. The start is slow.
Yes.
It takes a while for me to be like into this movie.
I was invested after the mask thing. once it's actually like the opening credits and it cuts, I think the first thing back. It's not the podcast people, is it? It's Judy Greer.
No, it's the podcast people.
Is it?
It's the podcast people going to Laurie.
Okay, yeah.
Laurie's in scene 2. Michael's in scene 1. Laurie's in scene 2. They established them early.
Oh, okay. So that's what it is. Oh yeah, and then Judy Greer is after that.
Yeah.
No, I liked the conversation with Laurie. I liked that whole thing.
Yeah.
Like the We Have a Podcast joke worked really well.
I don't like the We Have a Podcast joke, but I like when she's pissed at the dude because he's a smug prick, and I like she's like, I'll receive my payment now.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, why is Laurie Strode just taking $3,000? And then later, nope. She's following her granddaughter the exact same way that Michael followed her in the first one.
Yeah.
Which that's one of the things where it's a little too cutesy for me.
There's also the bus slipping over.
Yeah. And like we said, PJ Souls, who's in the first one, is reading the exact same thing the teacher read.
It's the exact same shot, too, and Laurie's outside the window. Yeah.
It's like I was like, all right, movie, I get what you're doing. But when they finally come together and when Laurie gives Allison the $3,000, I'm like, okay, I dig this.
Yeah, I get what this is.
It's like Laurie's really trying to be in her granddaughter's life, and the granddaughter wants her to be in the life, but there's just always something that isn't going to work about it. They're just like two completely different people. And obviously Laurie must see a lot of herself in her granddaughter because the granddaughter's a lot like Laurie was when she was 17.
Mm-hmm. No. Should we talk about, like, this movie is a lot more visceral than I thought it was going to be? And we can talk about the kid.
Yeah, the 13-year-old kid that got killed.
Yeah, he was 13. I don't know how old he was young.
He was young. He was like 13, 14.
But I did not expect them to kill a child in this movie.
Neither did I. But that's the thing, like, I don't think in general Michael Myers would kill a kid. Like, we mentioned the baby thing. We mentioned the baby thing, and we mentioned Julian. Yeah. But the kid had a gun. The kid had a gun. And also that parallels the Nancy scene a lot more, except you hear his neck snap. Yeah. What's interesting,
you can tell, like, the engage in the theater, like, how people react to a certain thing.
Yeah.
It wasn't like everyone's like, oh, it was like,
They gasped. Like, it was like you felt the air getting sucked out of the room.
Which, like, that's an effective moment.
Yeah.
And it's a tone setter a little bit for, like, this is, like, obviously you know...
This ain't your daddy's Halloween.
You see the guy's neck after that, that's right.
Yeah.
But you get a very clear indicator, like, how violent this movie is going to be when you hear a child's neck snap.
Yeah.
Like, you're like, okay, this is not fucking around.
And especially because it's a kid we kind of care about, because, like...
He's really cool. I was talking about his dance class.
Like, the dad wants to take him hunting, but was like, I'm into dance. There's implied that he might be in the closet or something, or maybe he just really likes dance.
I think that was just a sense of humor thing to, like, kids with, like, fathers in the Midwest, like, wanting to do dance. Like, that this parental disconnect is a sense of humor. I don't think it was implying anything about his sexuality.
I'm not saying that either. Like, you could take it that way, or you could just take it like, he's just really into dance, you know? But yeah, like, that kid's a good kid actor.
That kid's a great actor.
That kid's really good. I really felt for him the entire time, and I really felt... Well, I like that he took the gun.
No, the most unrealistic thing about that kid is he had a flip phone.
Well... Or it could be like a lower class, middle class.
That could be true, yeah.
That could be. True. It's just that they can only.
That's true. That's true.
It's not like like most kids would probably have an iPhone, but like depending on where they're at, and I mean Midwest, Illinois, you don't know. But yeah, if it was like here's the thing, like that was definitely out in like the more rural parts of Illinois. Which this movie was shot in Georgia, the more rural parts of Illinois, but like any kid in Haddonfield would probably have an iPhone.
That's true, yeah.
But yeah, I like that kid was smart. Like he took a gun. Like there's obviously something weird going on. I can't find my dad. I'm going to defend myself.
And the dad was the guy we see later with the broken neck, right?
Yeah. It's also one of those situations that the dad looked older.
Yeah,
so it might be like he had this kid late in life. He might not have been expected. Things like that.
The disconnects even further because of
disconnects
age.
Even further. Like there's a lot said in that little of a scene.
Yeah.
And there's things like that. Like some of the human like comedy and drama stuff like didn't work with the characters we spent a lot of time with. But like that scene with the dad and the son and the scene with the two cops, like I really dug it because like they said so much about these characters in so little time.
Exactly. Yeah.
But what else? Yeah, the killing of a 13-year-old kid. That's brutal. All the other kills are pretty much what you expect, especially for like teenagers and stuff. We talked about the callbacks. One of the callbacks I enjoyed. There are 3 kids trick or treating and they're wearing the mask from Halloween 3. That's fun. We talked about the doctor shit being dumb as fuck.
Yeah.
And okay, so really, pretty much all we have left is the climax, right? Is there anything else you want to talk about?
No, not really.
Like I said earlier, I don't necessarily love that they took, like, Laurie Strode being, like, homemade Rambo.
Yeah.
But I like the end comes... When the end turns out to be Straw Dogs with Michael Myers, I really dug it.
Everything once they're in the house is amazing.
Yeah. And I like that, like, when Judy Greer is like, isn't working for me, finally it kind of all comes together. I'm like, oh my god, this is genius.
Yeah. The one I did not like is a Judy Greer moment where she's like, this is my childhood, but it's not just, like, a hideout. Yeah. And then, like, it's, like, later, and she's like, it's a trap. Like, that was dumb to me.
Here's the thing. I like when they find out that, like, these bars come out and then Michael's trapped.
I like that we find out it's a trap. Yeah. I don't like the line, like, da-da-da-da-da, like, my childhood, da-da-da, like, it's a trap. Like, her saying it's a trap is dumb to me.
You don't like that she's an Admiral Akbar.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know. I dig the climax. Poor Ray, he gets killed pretty brutally.
Yeah.
Well, we talked about the doctor. Michael Myers curb stomps the doctor.
Yeah.
It's the most gruesome thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
The poor cops, too.
The cops, and he turns one of them into a jack-o'-lantern.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. That's a very performative kill.
It is.
But Michael Myers, every now and again, has a creative flourish, because the shit where, like, the three teens all come down, like, he put Judy's tombstone, like, in front of Annie. Like, Michael Myers really gets down to brass tacks most of the time.
I think that's part of, like, childishness a little bit. Yeah. Like, him just like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if I made this cop into a jack-o'-lantern? Exactly, yeah.
Halloween, I'm playing a trick.
Because also, he might have been smart to realize, like, this is a distraction.
Yeah.
Like...
And that's how he gets Ray.
Yes. Because Ray's like, oh, he news, and he opens the door, and, like, I like the thing, you don't know it's a guy's head until you open the door.
Yeah, why is there a jack-o'-lantern on his lap? And then you see that he stuck the flashlight, like... Also, like, he had to pull out that guy's skull, and...
Yeah.
I mean, it looks messy, but it'd be a lot messier.
Mm-hmm.
Those kills are pretty brutal, and then, you know, Jamie Lee Curtis, like, shooting Michael's fingers off.
That was
cool. And then when Judy Greer punches him in the face and Jamie Lee Curtis comes out of the shadow, I like, one of my favorite moments in the original Halloween is that you don't see Michael, suddenly he's out of the shadow, it's like, oh shit, music spikes, and he strangles Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yeah.
And Judy Lee Curtis does that, and she says, Happy Halloween, Michael, and then she shoots him, and he falls down the steps.
Yeah.
I like the image of, like, flames surrounding Michael Myers.
Mm-hmm. Which we don't see him die because there's possible another sequel.
Possibly a sequel, which this movie's, I mean, it's already doing extremely well. Not that expensive a production, and I think it's more than made its money back.
I mean, I can check the budget really quick.
It's only been, like, it's only had Thursday, Friday grosses, and I think it's already made profit.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to do, what, $80 million this weekend? And we're recording this on Saturday, so... I'm going to guess the budget is 15 to 20 million.
I'm going to say 10.
10 million?
10 million.
Wow. That's really impressive. But when you think about it, there's no huge... Like, Jamie Lee Curtis is a known actress, but it's not like she's one of the biggest movie stars in the world.
Exactly, yeah.
And, you know, horror movies are cheap to begin with. David Gordon Green is a working, known director, but it's not like he's Michael Bay or something.
Yeah, exactly. So he knows how to work with a budget, too. Yeah. Coming from, like, the Terrence Malick stuff.
Yeah, he's an indie guy, so he knows how to work on low budgets. Exactly. They shot in Georgia, which they get tax benefits for that.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's really successful for the most part in what I think it tries to do. And I think it pays homage to Halloween really well in some instances, in some instances not. It's a worthy successor.
Exactly, yeah.
And if you're going to get rid of all the bullshit... just to have this one, it's a worthy successor. I mean, it has its flaws, but the original Halloween has its flaws too. I would still put the original Halloween slightly above it, just because I think the original Halloween's more consistent overall. The goofier parts of that don't bother me as much as the goofier parts of this.
I can agree with that.
So let's get into it. Connor, would you recommend Halloween 2018?
I would recommend it, of course, yeah. I told Steve right at the theater, this might be the first time a horror movie's in my top 10 of the year.
What about Get Out?
Oh, shit, yeah. I always think Get Out is a thriller. I don't think of it as a horror movie.
Get Out's kind of a thriller.
But no, Get Out was number 3 last year.
Get Out, like Silence of the Lambs, I think is a thriller that people classify as a horror movie.
Well, if we're counting Get Out as a horror movie, then yes, this isn't the first time. This will be in the lower half of the 10.
Yeah.
This is probably sitting, like, for me currently, like a 6 or 7.
This isn't a movie that's going to end up getting nominated for Best Picture.
You never know.
It's not. There's no way in hell. I will eat my shoe if this gets nominated for Best Picture.
No? I mean, obviously Get Out's the better movie, but people said the same thing about Get Out.
Yeah, but Get Out also opened in February.
That's true.
But yeah, I would also recommend this. Like I said before, I think it's a worthy successor. I think the original does what it tends to do better than what this movie intends to do. But I think it's a really good. You know, we live in an era with these like soft reboot legacy sequels. Yeah. This very much fits in that, and I think it's on the better end of that.
Yeah, like Mad Max Fury Road, this, and there's
Force Awakens.
Force Awakens. There's no example someone gave. Oh, Blade Runner 2049.
Yeah. Like, for the most part, like...
And of those three, this is in the middle.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
Actually, it might be at the bottom end of all of them.
I don't love Fury Road that much, but...
Really?
Blade Runner 2049, this, then Fury Road. They're all related.
What about Force Awakens?
Force Awakens is... I don't know. Actually, Fury Road's better than Force Awakens.
Wow. I don't know, but I feel like, you know, we exist in a while where it's like straight reboot, straight reboot, straight reboot, after straight reboot, and people didn't react to those well, but these sort of like legacy sequels that lead into a new generation, I think have been more successful overall. I can't really think of one that like flat out didn't work.
Well, we'll see Terminator. Terminator's doing the exact same thing.
Well, okay, well that's one, Terminator Genesis. They tried it and it didn't work. But other than that, like even the X-Men First Class and these new generation X-Men movies,
that's true. Those work
for the most part have worked really well.
Yeah. No, the one that what the heck?
Tim Miller.
Yes, Tim Miller. The one that Terminator is doing is skipping 3 through the rest of them and just doing 1 and 2. And the new RoboCop that Neil Blomkamp's working on is just 1.
Oh yeah, that's true because people didn't like the RoboCop remake.
Yeah,
I did, but no one else did. But yeah, Halloween. It's worth your time. You know, it's. I recommend you see it before Halloween, or if you wait till home video, you know, get a group of good friends together that enjoy watching horror movies.
Or see it on Halloween night, even better.
See it on Halloween night, yeah. That's probably going to be we were talking about this. That's going to be its
biggest night.
It's going to open, it's opening huge this weekend. I think it's going to do okay over the next couple weeks. I think it's going to peak at Halloween night and then just disappear.
Yeah.
It's opening huge. It's going to make like more than 3 times the budget back.
10 million? It's already making 8 times its budget.
Well, it's estimated 8 times its budget, but you have to account
marketing and stuff. No, I'd say at least 4 to 5 times.
5 times its budget if you include marketing.
Yeah.
And then, so it's going to do a really good profit, and we might get a sequel, we might not.
I really hope we don't.
I hope we don't.
We don't need one.
I don't think David Gordon Green would come back for a sequel.
No, he wouldn't.
He wouldn't. Nor Danny McBride. I think they're both like, we told our story, we're done.
It'd be the same thing that happened to Jamie Lee Curtis earlier, where she's like 1 and 2, really like the movies, and then she's like, you're coming back for all these, and then eventually the point she's like, just kill me.
Yeah.
Like, just I don't want to be in these movies anymore.
Yeah.
I don't want that to happen to Jamie Lee Curtis.
I don't think Jamie Lee Curtis would agree to a new one either.
No.
Because she's been very hot and cold. Like, she gets nostalgic for these sometimes, and then she's like, all right, I want to do a new thing.
Yeah.
She's very
They shouldn't continue it with the girl who plays the granddaughter either.
I hope.
As much as I like her, that shouldn't be a thing.
I hope she does other things.
Yes.
Yeah. But yeah, it's a solid movie. It's worth your time. It's worth a rental or even seeing in the theater if you still have the opportunity. So that's our pilot episode of the show. I'd like to thank you so much. In future episodes, I would like to have more of a second half where we talk about listener correspondence. But to do that, we're going to need listener correspondence. So I'll talk about in a bit how to get to that. So we'd like to thank you for spending the past, 2 hours? Have we been...
hour 50 something. You're going to cut some stuff out, but it's been an hour and 55 minutes.
We went way longer than we expected to.
An hour, like 45 minutes longer than we expected
45 minutes longer than we expected to. But you get Connor and I gabbing, and we won't stop.
It's a couple gals.
So we'd like to thank you for spending the past hour and 45 minutes or so with us. If you'd like to follow us on social media, we're at Rialto Pod on both Instagram and Twitter. That's RIALTO Pod. We'll be posting future updates on episodes there, in addition to a bunch of other fun stuff, so you're going to want to check those out. And if you'd like to email us, we're rialtopod@gmail.com. Please feel free to send us recommendations for movies to watch on the show, further discussion on past episodes, or any random thoughts you have on movies in general. We might just even read them on air if you would like us to.
We might even do a whole episode on the movie you recommend, maybe.
Yeah. And I'd like to thank Nicolai Heidlas for the use of our theme song Last Night. You can find more of his music at hooksounds.com. In addition, I'd like to thank my co-host Connor for joining me this week. You can find me on Twitter at SteveLikeBird, and you can find Connor
at Cranberry14.
Do you want
the fruit, like the berry, but CRAND Barry 14.
Would you also like to plug your photography Instagram?
No, they don't need to follow my photography Instagram.
I want you to plug your photography Instagram.
I don't know these people.
You want to promote your stuff, though. You might get hired.
Maybe on a later episode.
You'll be back.
I'll be back.
You might be on most of these.
I'll probably be on the majority of these.
Yeah. So until then, come back in a couple weeks when we'll be discussing another film of questionable quality. And until next time, whatever you do, stop making sense.